home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
On a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Henning producing today's show. We are on location today out at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. Of course, Pete G is my on-site producer for the road show, as we've got you till 6 o'clock tonight. How's everybody feeling? Good. Eagles, Lions, we are all over that, of course. We've got Sixers news we're going to dive into. But, of course, A.J. Brown speaks last night. It was a riveting 8 minutes or maybe longer of A.J. Brown really revealing a lot. I mean, I think if you look at A.J. Brown and what he's trying to say here, you can all relate and feel like I'm on Team A.J. Brown here. I wonder how many people feel that way after hearing from A.J. Brown. Are you in the camp of, hey, listen, I like what A.J. Brown had to say, I'm glad he said it, or are you on team, hey, A.J., just get out there and play? I don't know if there are very many people on that side of the ledger, but we'll find out today. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Where are most of the people out there today? Are you on A.J. Brown? We do have a lot of the audio from him last night. This was basically him standing at his locker. This wasn't a press conference. This wasn't him standing at or sitting at a podium. This is him at his locker and just sitting there and answering the questions in a very raw and real manner. This is him basically playing his cards, laying them out on the table. He says, look, I don't care if I'm the bad guy here. I don't care if I'm misunderstood in this situation. 609-403-0973. That's how you get involved on the show today, guys. And obviously, we're going to jump right into what A.J. Brown had to say last night. I mean, this is really about a 10-minute expository from him saying, everything from he's frustrated that he can't contribute. And I think the big thing is what he is saying is what we're all thinking, right? What he is saying is what we're all thinking, is that we are not holding up our end of the bargain, the Philadelphia Eagles. We are not holding up our end of the bargain. As a team, the Philadelphia Eagles feel like offensively that they are a better offense and that they have to do a better job. And he's saying we're not doing that right now. Here's what A.J. Brown had to say about, the whole situation. So we have a ton of cuts, Josh. Why don't you kind of set up what we have throughout this locker room 10-minute situation where he was basically asked everything about and how he's feeling.
Yeah, so I wanted to start with, because you mentioned about AJ's frustrations, I wanted to start with that specific bite, Mike, because AJ was very specific about his frustrations.
I see that the offense struggling, and, I want to help contribute, and I didn't get those opportunities. And so, I'm going to have a problem with that, especially the player I am, and especially the player, you want me to be as a player, and that's tough for me, and that's tough for everybody else because everybody want to contribute. Even Smith said somebody had to make the play. So we're trying to put ourselves in the best situation to make those plays. You just got to get an opportunity. And I didn't get that.
So he's saying, I'm frustrated. I'm not getting the opportunities. The fact that he only got the one opportunity on 4th down and 6 isn't even an opportunity you really want to see him get. But you can hear it in his voice. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated by this. And he mentioned Devontae Smith, who, by the way, is having the best season of his career right now. He's on pace to have maybe his best season ever. So I don't know that Schmitty is frustrated as much as AJ is, but I think what they are frustrated is by the lack of productivity and consistent productivity in this offense.
And that's why he, early in the media scrum, Mike, he said that he will not apologize for anything that he has said thus far.
So me making light of my situation on Twitch with my friend, that's something I'm not apologizing for. Because like I said, if you got eyes, you can see that. And so that's me trying to laugh through my situation. So yeah.
And I actually said that yesterday, right? Is that him kind of being self-deprecating a little bit? Is that him? Is that his way of making light of the situation, just being a little self-deprecating? Yeah, what are you kidding me? You know how everything's going. We stink right now. So I did kind of throw that into the mix as a possibility. That is him just kind of making light of the situation by trying to bring some levity to it by basically making a joke out of it.
And that's when he went on to say as well, because he talked about that the offense, he believes the offense can be more, Mike Gills, and I thought this point was very interesting from A.J. Brown.
I think it's fair for me to even say, I feel like we do need to do a better job of creating for me, trying to help put me in a situation to help, to contribute. But right now, it just feels as if, I'm just freeing it up for everybody.
So this is him sounding just very frustrated by everything, right? He gets to a point where he's just like, I want to contribute, but I also don't want to throw people under the bus right now, right? It's almost like he's stopping short of throwing people under the bus.
Exactly, and that's why he said that he feels like everyone is trying to get this offense better.
I'm always just trying to find ways to get better. We watching film as a unit, as a group, and we're just trying to talk about what we can do better in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, he stopped short many times, I feel like, of trying to say something that he didn't want to say. You can see the confliction in his face of he's kind of biting his lip I don't know what I want to say here other than I'm just going to say things safe and not try to stir the pot here. The one thing that he is not apologizing for is that he feels that the offense is not holding up their end of the bargain.
Yes, and he went on to explain that, for them, they don't want to look at this as a short-term fix. And he used the word Band-Aid. I kind of want to get your reaction to this, Mike, because he mentioned during the presser multiple times they don't want to put a Band-Aid on the problem.
It's not about we're not winning or I don't care about winning. All I care about is snap and step. No, it's been week after week sometimes. We're not contributing. We're not doing our job on offense. So you can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over that and you expect to win late in the year. You think you're going to go to it at the end of the year. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and listen, that is the part there that was one of the more revealing parts where he says, you can't just slap a Band-Aid on this thing. It's not going to happen. You can't just flip a switch on. And this goes back to, I think he has 2023 in his mind where teams saw what they did in 2022 and they started to defend them differently, and they never, what did Britton Covey tell us at the Super Bowl? Right?
Yeah, he talked about the experience of the coach, right? He talked about how you had an inexperienced coach.
Well, he talked about that teams saw what they did in 2022, and then they adjusted, and then he felt that they didn't really make the right adjustments moving forward. He felt that the Eagles didn't make the right adjustments moving forward in 2023 and that teams were kind of on to him. And I feel like AJ feels that we're going down a road right here where we are not holding up our end of the bargain, and you can't just slap a Band-Aid on this. We have to be better, and I don't hear in his voice that he thinks they can be better. Right? That's the perplexing, not perplexing. That's the scary part about it.
Well,
is that I think AJ, in his voice, AJ doesn't feel that they can be. They they don't have the right guy to make the improvements that they need to make.
And that's, I will say, though, he did say that he's not all negative about the Eagles' offense moving forward.
I'm always optimistic. You know, we always go into it with a great game plan, trying to do certain things, and I understand like how the game goes. You know, sometimes defense take it away. Sometimes, just hypothetically speaking, O-line may slip or fall or something and get pressure. You know, that's part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that happen that are part of the game, as he's saying here, but I think what his overall message is the lack of consistency that this team is showing, and that he is getting growingly more and more frustrated by it.
And that's where it goes to where the clip that went viral last night, I felt like I saw it on everybody's timeline, was when he talked about forgetting about last year.
Last year, what it was, thank you for the ring, but it's a new season. They adapted. We have to adapt, and we have to continue to like get better and try to find new ways. So that's where the frustration comes in, because it's not about winning, you guys. Like, I want to win, yes. I want to help contribute as well, do our thing on offense as well. I think that's fair.
I like the fact that he is acknowledging that last year is behind them, right? That he is saying that last year's behind us, and it is something.
That he's trying to process, and then also he has pressure in his face. So, like I said, I don't know. Maybe it's a question for him or KP, anybody. So,
again, I think the messaging is pretty concurrent here. Is he is not confident that they have the right answers from the guy that is calling the plays. Is everybody on picking up what I'm putting down on that, or am I off base on this?
I don't think you're off base at all. I think the problem is that, you know, me and Pete were talking about this before the show, which is, you know, they were so complimentary about Patullo during the offseason, right? A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith. Everybody loves this guy, right? And now that their boy, their buddy, their friend is involved, now they feel like they can't throw the guy under the bus.
Well, I don't think he threw anybody under the bus by name.
I don't know why you would want to throw him under the bus. They're 7-2. That's what this thing comes down to me, is they're 7-2.
But I think AJ is tiptoeing around that while also saying, I'll say what everybody won't say.
Is he, though?
We're 7-2, but we're not good enough.
Don't you think AJ has said enough this entire season and last season too? Really?
Are you listening to what he said last night and do you have a problem with what he said?
I have a problem with him going to the media and saying it. Yeah.
Does he feel like he has to go to the media because maybe people aren't listening to him?
Well, he needs to work it out with his coaches and his quarterback, as opposed to going to the media and letting it fall on deaf ears. Going to the media is not going to help anything.
So you feel like the stuff he was saying last night has to do with Jalen?
I think it has to do with him not getting the ball and not contributing, not feeling like he's contributing, but he really is. And in essence, he draws so much attention on the field that he's getting 2 targets a game,
I
right?
look at it like this. I think AJ saw what happened a couple of years ago and doesn't want it to go back down that road again, and he's trying to get out ahead of it by saying, what happened 2 years ago or last year? It was, what's wrong with the offense? Passing.
Right.
And then they had their best week of the season, and the offense kind of got a little bit better. I think he is trying to get the message to whoever the messenger is before it goes down a road where they can't. And I'm telling you what, I think this is the week. I think this is the week because this Lions team can cold clock you. They can score 44 on you. And I know the Eagles and everybody thinks, well, their defense isn't what it was 2 years ago. If the game gets into a spot, do you not think that the Lions would revel in the fact that they'll just run it up on you if they feel that the Eagles' offense can't score?
And that's why AJ Brown explained during the media scrum last night that they have to stop leaning on the defense.
It's not just solely about my situation. I mean, guys, like, obviously I want to win too, you know, and I think if we're really focusing on winning and doing our job, like, we can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. Like, at what point are we going to pick up our slack as an offense that we're so great, you know? And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, when are we going to pick up our slack? When are we going to pick up, like, where everybody's talking about us helping us win games? Because when you're talking about the Eagles winning the game on Monday night, it has everything to do with the defense and nothing to do with the offense. Now, what Mad Dog said yesterday, we played that audio, he said, look, they kicked the field goal. They had a good drive, and they fumbled on that drive. The one drive they kicked the field goal on, that was a good drive. They scored the touchdown where they had the 41-yard play to Barkley and then the big pass play to Devontae Smith. So his point was there were moments that the offense looked like it was doing pretty well, but in the end, you played against a really good defense on the road. I don't know that that's the overall answer, though. And I think A.J. is trying, and I thought, quite frankly, he did it in a way last night that was very respectful, and he didn't call anybody out. He just saying, look, I want to win. We won the Super Bowl last year. That's behind us. If we want to do it again, we have to hold up our end of the bargain.
And that's where the other audio cut that went viral last night, you know, people were on social media like X and Instagram, they might have heard a variation of this where he talked about, Mike, and you've brought this up before, AJ don't care if he's misunderstood.
I don't care if I'm misunderstood. Like, I stand up in front of it and fall on that sword over and over again. Like, it's about doing what we're supposed to be doing on offense. And if we are really in this business for trying to get better, we got to do what we got to do. And not just say, oh, it's about wins. So like, as long as we got the win, it's cool. No, that ain't what. No, you cannot do that. Not in this league. We got to continue to get better. We got to do what we have to do on offense to help the defense, to help the special teams.
Well, he's saying that from experience because he's saying, no, it's not good enough because we were 10-1 a couple of years ago, and that wasn't good enough. We kept saying, remember that year when they were 10-1? We were all we all fell victim to this, where, well, they're finding ways to win. Good teams find ways to win, but it just didn't look right. But we just kept giving them the pass of, well, it's, you know, good teams find ways to win, all that stuff, right? That's what we kept hearing a couple of years ago, and they were 10-1 until it just fell apart. And I think AJ is cautioning his own locker room that don't get fooled by our record. Don't let the eye test fool you. We are struggling, and we have got to figure out a way to fix this. Otherwise, what happened in 2023 could repeat itself here again, right? I mean, is everybody listening or listening to him say that and feel that he is trying to give a cautionary reminder? You know, that year, if you remember, they beat Tampa, they beat L.A., they beat Miami, who was pretty good at that time, and they waxed Miami that night.
Yep.
They had beat Dallas, and Dallas was good that year. They went to Kansas City and won. They beat Buffalo. They had a lot of good wins that year. They had good wins. So it wasn't like they were beating bad teams to get to 10-1. They beat everybody in front of them, but you were just kind of like, something's not right here, right? And then they got waxed by San Francisco. And after that, they just couldn't get out of their own way. And I think he is saying, like, we've seen this happen before, everybody. Am I the only one that remembers this?
So do you think that a lot of players in the locker room silently agree with AJ? And they appreciate him stepping up and getting this out into the open?
That's a good question. Like, do we feel – yeah, I do. I feel like – and he said, I don't mind being the bad guy. Maybe Jalen Hurts doesn't want to come out and say it, because he's the leader of the team and he wants to play Switzerland here.
Yeah, because AJ's the only guy complaining right now to me.
He is the only one that has outwardly come out and is not happy. But guess what? If you want to win a championship, sometimes you have to have tough discussions. Now, you're saying, I don't want the tough discussion out in public. But right. AJ said, the last time I had a tough discussion out in public, we got results.
Now, do you think the Eagles should, I don't want to say force feed him, but change what they're doing, get him more
Well,
involved?
of course.
Even though they're still 7-2, they won. They've beaten Tampa. They've beaten Kansas City. They've beaten Green Bay. They've beaten the Rams. I understand you're going to need more than 10 points to beat the Lions.
Well, that's what I would say, right. And I think that's what AJ's saying. We can't rely on our defense to give up 7 points every single week and think we're going to win games. Like, it's not feasible that the defense is only going to give up 7 points every single week. You know, what happens if they give up 17? AJ's saying we've got to be able to score 21. Or if the defense gives up 21, we've got to be able to score 24. Like, we can't score 10 and think that's okay. And his point has always been, he's been consistent on this, I think I give us a good chance to win. It doesn't mean I have to get 150 yards, but if you're not going to use me, I feel like our chances to win go down.
And that's why he also said last night, he said he understands what opposing defenses are doing to him and how that's impacting the offense.
Yes, I dictate the cover. That's every single week. You know, if you look back on film, every single game, I'm getting clouded. There's no surprise. We play Detroit on Sunday night. They play a lot of man. I'm pretty sure they're gonna cloud me. That's just what comes with it, you know. And you even look back at that Denver game, playing against the best corner in the game. They started going one-on-one. I started winning. End of the game, cloud. That's just what it's gonna be.
Yeah. And look, I think that was him admitting. He's saying, teams are taking me away. That's why I'm not getting the plays. But we're also not even trying, right? He said, like, early in the game, I'm getting one-on-one. I won those battles. Late in the game, they cloud me. They got two guys following me around. I understand that. But when I have the matchups, let's try to use them.
And that's why also when they asked him during the the media scrum last night about, well, you know, other teams, you know, they get Jamar Chase open, they get Puka Nacua. He did not want to answer that question. He went out of his way to basically not answer the question at all and just kind of walked away from it. He didn't say next question, but it almost kind of felt like, Mike, he was saying next question.
Oh, I thought you were going to play an audio there. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just saying I was kind of giving context to, you know, what he's been saying because he was asked about hey, you know, teams, you know, they double Jamar Chase, they double Puka Nacua. You know, they get those guys open. What about you? And you know, he kind of turned it into I don't want to talk about that.
Well, he mentioned that on the stream that he's not getting the ball. I mean, to me, there's two different things going on here with AJ. One, he's not getting the ball and he's frustrated.
Yep.
And that's reasonable.
And
number two, the offense is struggling.
That's reasonable, by the way.
Band-Aid, blah, blah, blah.
That's reasonable in a way that we can all relate to. That, you know, he's frustrated. That's the one that you wish that he doesn't really talk about. If you're frustrated, leave that behind closed doors. If you're talking about the team unit as a whole of saying, our offense is not holding up our end of the bargain.
That I can get behind. Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. And I think we had a full bar here when we walked in. I think everybody at this bar can understand. If you've watched an Eagles game, you would say their offense has not held up their end of the bargain, right?
But if you work for a company and your company is thriving and it's so successful, they win all these awards, they're 7-2, whatever, do you want to really rock the boat like that? Do you want your company to change what they're doing, change their philosophy just to
yes and no.
You?
Yes and no.
Is that a good analogy? I'm trying to.
It's not bad, but I would say yes and no. Here's why. If you implement something that is the hot trend and it's working, great. But if it's not working anymore and you're still trying to do that, you need to have the ability to shift off of it and have another idea.
Is that Saquon Barkley?
The world that we live in, trends change, right? Trends change. They come and go. This is the hot thing, then that becomes the hot thing. And then look at all these businesses that they're hot, then they go out of business. You know, all of a sudden it's the hot new business in town, and then they're gone. And you're like, whatever happened to them? They were so, they were popular. What's the donuts that were really, the hot donuts?
Krispy
Kreme, right? Krispy Kreme had these hot donuts, and they were coming gone in 9 months. It was like, what happened to Krispy Kreme? I know we got a lot of text messages. By the way, Pete G and I made a bet on Monday.
I paid up.
There's the $5. He paid me.
That is your 1-day pass for Sling. So what is it, Cowboys, Raiders on Monday night? There you go. I paid for your Cowboys game.
Or does he use the sling for college football on Saturday?
Oh, he could do that too. Yep.
Well, number one, I have one more day left in my FUBU
Which
5-day
wait a second,
pass.
I'm surprised that again AJ Dillon was not allowed to do that revenge game.
He's not into the offense.
He's not complaining. Maybe he should go on a Twitch stream and talk about how he wanted a revenge game at Lambeau.
He hasn't been active for weeks. Ever since they traded for
Ever since he fumbled. It was that
That's right.
fumble that he had
That
weeks
fumble.
ago. He has not been active ever since then.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're live at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go, Chickies and Pete's here in Atlantic City. Yeah, we got that. By the way, speaking of Sixers, Saturday, Sixers news with the Sixers, I'll give you updates on that. I know the text board is humming right now, so we'll get to the text, right? We'll read your text on the other side. 609-403-0973 if you want to get involved on the text board. Get over there. Early Nuggets today. Nick Earnshaw at 3 o'clock for Knicks Nuggets today. 3 o'clock edition of Knicks Nuggets today, right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the best I've ever felt about A.J. Brown's comments. This is the most real A.J. Brown has gotten. Like, it's frustration. And he's saying it. If this is what we do, if we go out on the field and only produce 10 points, if I only get 3 targets, have 2 catches, 13 yards, we can't win a Super Bowl like that. And as a leader, he said it real. When you win the Super Bowl, it's now a new year. Teams have adjusted to you, and we have to adjust.
That was Ryan Clark on First Take, and he said that's the best I've felt about what A.J. Brown has said or what he has said. And he's saying it's not good enough. We're not good enough. Winning the Super Bowl last year, okay, that's behind us. We've got to be better. I don't think anybody should have a problem with that conversation, right? Nobody seems to have a problem with that. Is there anything that AJ said, though, that bothers anybody? 609-403-0973. Text board is open. You can chime in over there, 609-403-0973. We've got a bunch of text messages, but before we get to them, I think what Ryan Clark is saying, that this is the most real that he has been, and he didn't throw anybody under the bus. He didn't name anybody by name. He didn't say, hey, Jalen and I, Jalen's been a problem. We need to get on the same page. He just said we're not good enough, right?
And when he asked about, when he was asked about Jalen, you heard the audio where he kind of, we'll play it again here, where he kind of dismissed. Because people are trying to make it like, well, is Jalen the problem? Are you and Jalen not communicating enough? And this is what A.J. Brown said. Just remind everybody that he had no point threw anyone under the bus. He actually went out of his way to almost defend Jalen Hurts.
Certain plays have different reads. Despite what it looks like when somebody takes a screenshot, and you can't go out there. That he has certain reads. He has a lot going on in his head that he's trying to process, and then also he has pressure in his face. So. Like I said, I don't know. That maybe it's a question for him or KP, anybody. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely is saying like some of the things I can't answer, like why they're doing what they're doing and why I'm. But he also and Sirianni brought this up yesterday, where he said you can't just go off of the stats,
right?
Like there are plays that are run for A.J. Brown, and for whatever reason on that particular play, we call the play for Brown. Their defense is defensed perfectly for the call, so then the play doesn't go to him. It goes to somebody else.
Is that A.J. just not getting open? Is he?
Or, as A.J. said, they're clouding me. They're doubling me. So,
right.
Yeah, that play, they're right. It's not there. So, yeah, you can't go to me. So, I think A.J. is saying there are times where the play is for me and it's not working, but I think he's also layering that by saying we need to come up with more creative ways to get me the ball.
Now, okay, let me ask you this question. If it's 3rd and 9 and you need 9 yards, is Jalen Hurts going to throw it to Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown? Who's he looking for?
Well, right now it seems that he's got a little something going with Devontae Smith.
Yes.
But I think he has something going with Devontae because of the fact that he's
getting the one-on-one coverage.
Right. A.J. Brown's getting double, triple teams basically. And Jalen is so risk-averse. He's afraid to throw into heavy coverage that he's just basically saying, well, A.J. ain't open, so I'm just going to eliminate him altogether.
Well, he's looking at the coverage, and he's saying, okay, I got one-on-one over here. I like that matchup, so that's going to be my first option.
And one of the comments that A.J. Brown has made in the past was that, he made a comment in the past about how, during the Broncos game, that they started man-on-man with him and Patrick Surtain, and he was winning those one-on-one matchups, and then as soon as they started doubling him, they didn't throw him the ball again almost the rest of the game. So AJ's even saying, hey, look, man, when I got one-on-one matchups, I'm winning those matchups. We're throwing me the ball. But it's when the other team he calls it clouded, double team, overhang, whatever you want to call it. That's when the ball doesn't go to him.
All right, let's get the text board here. Nick in Galloway says, this is why you don't have a first-time offensive coordinator. I do agree with that. I do agree that you don't take a Super Bowl team that is bringing back the same. Now, the other side of that, and if you want to disagree with me on this, is he's been here. He knows these guys. He's been with the offensives the last couple of years, so he should have a better handle than maybe somebody coming from the outside. I can agree with that too, but I do agree that you don't bring a first-time play caller into a team that won the Super Bowl. I think that's probably not the smartest thing to do.
And then that's where I pushed back on you during the offseason, Mikey, which is, this organization has won a championship with a experienced play caller. Not once, but twice in the organization's history. The other 2 times they went to a Super Bowl and lost, they also had experienced play callers. This organization has never gotten to the big game without an experienced play caller in the 21st century.
Well, the 21st century. That's a
Well, they've been there 4 times in 25 years, and there's a common thread.
Yeah. I mean, but now we're just expecting they're supposed to get there every single year, which I think is unrealistic as well. Is why they're not getting there is because they don't have an experienced play caller. It's possible, and in this instance, you did win the Super Bowl. So at that point, you have an offense that's experienced, and I think they need someone to lead them that also has experience.
And by the way, that's why I said this offseason, even if you want to make Patullo the head guy, you could have brought in a veteran, experienced, like a Fangio type, to be the advisor for Patullo.
Well,
bring in like a Sage or something.
You say that a lot, but you discount the power that Stoutland has. He is that guy. He's the veteran guy that is in charge of the run game. We don't acknowledge that a lot, but Jeff Stoutland is the Tom Moore kind of like figure for this offense. He is that veteran guy that is supposed to be the guy they can lean on in these situations.
So then why did the offensive line regress this year?
Well, they've had a lot of injuries up front. I think that's an easy answer there. Why did the offensive line regress? I think Landon Dickerson has been banged up.
Yeah, but he's the one who controls who goes into the games, right? Why are you putting Matt Pryor in and getting your quarterback blasted?
Well, I mean, you can only go with what you have, right? I mean, you're acting like he can just make all these guys all pros. I don't know how that really plays into the conversation here.
I mean, yesterday the injury report had 3 of their starting O-linemen not practicing.
No,
Yeah,
they were
Juergens,
limited.
Dickerson,
They were limited.
Johnson.
Well, still, I think the easy thing
But
is to
they're banged
say,
up.
what's wrong with the offensive line? Landon Dickerson obviously has not been himself. He's been banged up to the point he had to miss a game. Cam Juergens missed a game, 2 games. They're going to a guy in Brett Toth who has no experience playing center.
But don't you think that Brett Toth and these guys are here because Stoutland vouched for them? Like, Howie's not just ad-libbing, making decisions on his own.
That doesn't mean, but I don't know what the point of that is. It doesn't mean he's right because he said, hey, Brett Toth is my guy. Okay, he made a personnel wrong decision, possibly. I mean, what does that have to do with him being the senior figure of the offense, though?
Maybe he shouldn't be the only senior figure in the offense.
Maybe not, but my point is, you're bringing up that they should bring in one of these former offensive coordinators so they have a veteran guy. And I'm saying they do have that guy. It's Jeff Stoutland. He is the guy he's the run game coordinator. He designs a lot of the run game. They do have a veteran guy in that room, but he doesn't call the plays, and nor would this guy that you're suggesting that should come in. But my point is, you're bringing up the point that they should have brought in a veteran former offensive coordinator. And yes, Stoutland is not a former offensive coordinator, but he is the guy who designs a lot of the running part of this offense. And maybe they don't want to bring in a guy to overstep Jeff Stoutland. So you're basically saying bring in another guy to then supersede Stoutland.
Coming off a Super Bowl.
Coming off a Super Bowl, right.
But you're also the same person, like he's pointing to 2023. Well, what happened in 2023? It's they promoted a guy from within. Stoutland was back then the senior guy on the offensive coaching staff then, and it didn't go well.
Yeah, but I don't have as much problem with Brian Johnson as what happened that year. The defense turned into a complete disaster. True. Even down the stretch in that season when they were struggling, the game against the Giants, they scored 33 points. They scored 31 points in the game against Arizona. I mean, so their offense in some of the losses, I don't really have a problem with Brian Johnson. And quite frankly, I think if you go back to that season and had Brian Johnson as the play caller, maybe by now, 3 years into it, who knows? Maybe he would have been a pretty talented play caller. I have no idea. Don't go back to that year and say, man, now I would say that Britton Covey thought that they should have gone with a more experienced play caller. 609-403-0973. All right, let's bang out some more of the text messages here. This one, Phil and Brigantine. Mike, I agree with everything AJ said. It seems everyone's talking sports as well as the fan base is saying the same thing. The offense leads in 3 and out and is wildly inconsistent. Play calling is a problem. Vanilla at best. Well, well, one thing I do want to bring up, Phil, is this offense has been a problem with consistency and the personnel that they have had over the last 4 seasons. I don't think you're getting the ROI outside of what Saquon Barkley did.
Which helped you win a championship. But that was 1 year.
In the passing game. Their passing game has not been what you would think your passing game should be with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
It's
it just
weird.
hasn't been.
It's weird to say that because Devontae's having a career year. Dallas Goedert gets in the end zone all the time in the red zone. Saquon, sure, but those 2 guys have been really good this year.
Yeah, you're right. Goddard is having a pretty good year. But to go back to Phil's point, sometimes, and McMullen and I talk about this a lot when he's on the show, we blame the play calling. Sometimes it's the lack of execution.
Right.
And then you would say, we don't want to blame the execution because we just deem that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are so good that it can't be that. So, okay, maybe it's not that. So then what could it be? Well, it's the play calling then. We've seen this team have big offensive outputs in this offense. It's just not consistent enough.
And that's what Lane Johnson said a couple weeks ago.
He talked about being very predictable, right?
And he talked about the fact that the offense is not executing, that everyone is not doing their job in sync, basically, and that they need to be better at that.
Let me go to Brandon in Dennisville. Mike, I don't blame AJ for feeling the way he does. The guy should be putting up TO-type numbers with his size and his one-on-ones, better than you ability. I agree that A.J. Brown should be one of the best, most explosive, statistically gifted receiver in this league. We should be talking about a consistent 1,500-yard guy, right?
We should, because, again, when you look around the rest of the league, other guys in the league are double-teamed, cloud-covered, and they're getting their numbers.
For whatever reason, A.J. Brown's getting 2-3 targets a game. And
Right.
I don't really understand why.
Whereas, what was that game, like 3 weeks ago when Jamar Chase had like 20 catches in the game?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Puka Nacua had double digits.
Exactly.
A lot of games.
Cole and LBI. AJ must be complaining about the team not having a run game. The offense is better at virtually every passing stat this year versus last year. That's me being facetious. He's upset he's not getting his numbers.
Yeah, like Jalen's had a great year. I mean, we talked about him in the MVP conversation not too long ago. He's been pretty efficient this year, too.
He has been efficient, but that's because he's
Not
also
turning the ball over.
But he's also risk averse. So that kind of leans into it. It's like, well, you're going to be efficient if you're never throwing it in the double
That's why
coverage.
this thing is so compelling. It's fascinating that this team is 7-2, and there's just so much drama going on with this offense.
Well, I'm reading some of the text messages here. AJ's creating issues, and then not saying anyone or anything is the actual issue, is not being mature. I don't agree with that. I think he handled it well. I think he said what needed to be said. Last year, he was asked a question, what's wrong with the offense? Passing. And that got blown up as if he was calling Jalen Hurts out or whatever. And he said, I didn't call anybody out. I just said our passing game, but we all want to read into it what we want. This time around, he's saying, guys, I don't care. I'll be the bad guy here. Our offensive unit is not good enough. And anybody out there watching, Cole and LBI, from all the way from LBI down to Ocean City, Maryland, where our signal goes, I think everybody listening could watch the Eagles and say, he's not wrong. The offense is not good enough.
Yeah, even Michael in Ocean City could probably see that.
Michael in Ocean City would be in about the middle of Ocean City, Maryland to Cole and LBI. Probably not quite the middle.
Oh, Michael in Ocean City from the Sixers
Yes.
game. I got you.
Yeah.
Do we know who that guy is? Have we figured?
I don't know who he is, but somebody did text me yesterday that said they knew him. And they were going to have him call in, but then I never heard back from him. But he's now old news.
A.J. Brown is now the news.
Drew in EHT has a long text message that is worth reading here. We'll get that one on the other side. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. We're live at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go, Chickies and Pete's. A.J. Brown's got the sweet heat hot wings. They're pretty good. Garage 62, the burger and beer from Jason Kelsey. You get that right here at Chickies and Pete's. The Sports Bash is live. Don't forget, 3 o'clock today, a special early edition of the Nuggets. That's still to come right here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
And it just keeps getting better.
on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
After the game, I said all the right answers. I still made a story. You know, in that moment where I'm just talking to my friend, having fun with my friend, I'm not apologizing for that. Like I said, because if you have eyes, you can see that. And so, like, it's not that I was throwing anybody on the bus. I'm literally trying to laugh through this. This is tough. Like, but I'm trying to make fun of the situation and to try to get through it. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is, man.
It is what it is. That's A.J. Brown. I called it the other day, Josh, did I not? I said he's probably trying to just be self-deprecating through the whole situation.
Yeah, because he kept. If you actually watch the whole stream, which idiots like me and Nick Earnshaw did, he basically is like laughing and like making jokes and like, you know, making fun of himself. So like, I think people read so much into what he says. It's just wild.
Well, he did call it a bleep show.
He did. Absolutely. But he was kind of laughing about the
But
whole
he was
situation.
laughing when he said
He was like, because the guy's like, no, man, your kids, your wife. He's like, they're all good, but are you serious? You, like, not know what's going on in my life? Like, you watch our offense play, we stink.
Yeah, then he says later in the thing, he's like, you know, hey, you know, this is my highlight of the season, this touchdown he scored in Madden.
Well, and listen, that's why I talk about it all the time. I try not to read people's social medias into them. And in that situation, he's like, dude, I'm not going to apologize for having fun with my friend. Like, we all talk to our friends a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? In that Madden game, AJ got all the touches, and guess how many touches Smitty got? About 2.
That is true. He almost never threw Smitty the ball.
Yeah.
This one is from Drew in Egg Harbor Township. He says, Mike, let me preface this by saying I normally agree with your takes. Well, I appreciate that, Drew. There's a lot of people who normally do not agree with my takes. But he says, I think in this whole case, you're trying to look for a hidden message meaning from AJ, and it's a whole lot simpler than that here. The bottom line is AJ is still doing what he has always done when he simply doesn't end up with his share of significant catches and yards. Take it to social media to whine about it. I'll even give you a thought exercise to prove my point. And everyone be honest with yourselves here, please. He says if AJ was getting 12 targets, 8 catches, 125, and receiving 1 to 2 tutties every week, but they were losing, do you really think we'd be hearing a peep out of AJ whining on social media or anywhere? The truthful answer is no. This is still about AJ. End of story. All right, Drew, I do appreciate your thoughtfulness and take on that. And it is a good question. If AJ was getting 12 targets, 8 catches, 125, 1 or 2 tutties every week, but they were losing, would he be coming out? And my answer to that would be we don't know because that's not really ever happened. But what I would say is what he's saying right now wouldn't be his message. Because what he's saying is our offense isn't good enough. In this scenario, it sounds like if he's getting 12 catches for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns, that their offense would not be the reason why they would be losing the game. So what would his complaint be? I don't know. But your scenario is fair to ask. If he was getting a lot of stats and they were losing, would he say anything? But his messaging now is it's our offense that's not good enough. It's not that I'm not good enough or he's not good enough. It's just us as a whole that is not good enough. That's what I think. I hear you, Josh. How do you think what do you want me to just stop the whole show and finish here? Can I finish my thought? Holy mackerel. I'm having a day over here, everybody. My Lord.
Get
609.
some sweet heat wings.
Right? I mean, would you like me to just stop in mid-sentence there and just end it? Is that what you want or were hoping for me to do here? Should I give you a heart on your text message or should I give you a thumbs up on that? He's talking to me in my ear, telling me to go to break, and I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of a thought here. Can I finish?
You were cooking, too.
Right, can I finish the guy's text message in my thought here before I just abruptly end and go to break here? Sorry, buddy. My thought is now over. I have been rudely interrupted. I'm going to break.
Hard stop.
And with that break, I need caller 7. 609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. right now, you are entered for this year's 99 Bottles Party. Caller 7, you must be present to win at Maynard's in Margate, 9306 Amherst Avenue. This year's 99 Bottles Party, we just added more tickets to the party, including club box seats to see the Eagles and the Commanders at Lincoln Financial Field. We've got multiple pairs of Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets. We've got concert tickets to see Jack Johnson, OAR, Journey, Aaron Lewis of Stain, comedian Bert Kreischer. We got tickets for that and more. But you got to be caller 7, and you must be present to win. Good luck.
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
All right, 3 o'clock hour brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating. 09-390-3907 online, Broadlees.net. Let's get into it. It's an early edition of the Nuggets today. Yesterday we had early Nuggets. Today we got early Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw is back with today's edition of Nick's Nuggets on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Let's get the Nuggets going here today on this Thursday edition. What's up, Nuggets?
What's going on, Mike? Early bird gets the worm, right? I mean, that's usually the old saying here. So we're doing the Nuggets a little early once again today. We got a lot to talk about. AJ's response. I know I heard you guys earlier talking about it. A lot there. A lot with AJ Brown. It just continues. It just continues into today. It's going to continue probably throughout the season, just throughout his career. It's the kind of guy he is. So that's where I'm going to start with Nugget number one. By the way, Pete, I saw the $5. I mean, that might have been the saddest $5 bet I've ever seen. It might have been the saddest one I've ever seen.
That was the easiest bet I've ever won.
I should have bet you way more than $5.
Well, listen, I thought that they were going to get A.J. Dillon
He offered the bet to me, too. I didn't say, I'll bet you $5. He said, I'll bet you $5. I said, okay.
I don't know why they didn't get him a little revenge touch at Lambeau Field. That's all I wanted.
What's the revenge for? He had a busted neck.
It's
what revenge did he have? I mean, he was physically unable to perform.
Someone get Pete G a AJ Dillon jersey. I've never seen a bigger AJ Dillon fan than Pete G. One of the revenge games.
That's the AJ I want on my team.
That's the
AJ Dillon. That's the AJ.
I can understand if
he's
Dillon,
not on Twitch.
I can understand if he had been activated in previous weeks and had some role in the offense.
Nothing.
I mean, he hasn't been active. He fumbled that night against the Giants on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Just think about it. The last time he had a touch, the Phillies were playing.
It was a bad bet, okay?
Yeah.
Not your bet.
I got nothing else to say.
And I prospered from it.
Dude,
$5.
That money could have went to the cheap seats, but no, you had to give it to Mike because you're fanboying over AJ Dillon.
And that money's going to go right to Sling TV.
$5. You probably put that towards a Blue Coat game tonight. Go see Jared McCain. He's playing in Wilmington tonight. Yep.
I'm going to get to that in just a sec, but we'll start with AJ Brown. I do want to talk about this because Brendan Deeg from The Score put out an interesting stat via True Media, and it's about AJ Brown and the routes he has run. He has only run, according to True Media and Brendan Deeg, 14 crossing routes this season. That's it. 137 pass catchers in the NFL have run more crossing routes than AJ Brown. He's also run 26 in routes this season, which is 45 among pass catchers, 45th in the league. They are not using this guy in the way he probably should be used. They're not running him with the routes that he excels at. So I thought it was fascinating. Shout out to Brendan Deeg for putting that stat out. Why aren't they using him like that? And I think this is why he gets so frustrated. He goes on Twitch. You have me watching at 5 a.m, Cheap Seats Pete making bets for A.J. Dillon. Things are just out of order right now, Mike Gill. And they're not utilizing him in the way. And you could kind of tell from watching the tape, the routes are not good enough, and they're not running the routes he should be running that he has dominated at before.
I like Stu's text message. Stu in Linwood gave me a text message. Let's see. I got so many text messages today, I'm kind of lost in the sauce over here. I'm having a rough day over here, all right?
Yeah, it's all right. It's on the fly. It's live broadcasting. That's what happens. Things happen, but we're moving. Got the Sports Bash. We're talking about AJ Dillon, Cheap Seats Pete.
He said, everyone is so concerned about what AJ is saying, but the big question is, Mike, wouldn't you find a way to use him? Stu, that's the great question here is, okay, why are they not finding more creative ways to use him? And I think that's one of the things here is that he's suggesting is, okay, you're covering me, and sometimes I'm one-on-one, other times you're clouding me. So then we just can't run the same stuff all the time. There's got to be better ways that you can get me the ball, crossing patterns, slant patterns, curl routes. I don't have to – I'm running the same stuff all the time. Of course people are going to start picking up on it. I think he's frustrated with the way that they're using him for definite.
But after 10 games of it, at what point do you just say they don't really care to get him involved? This is a 10-game sample size. They're 7-2. They don't really care to get him involved like that.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to ask yourself this, right? If they don't need to get him involved, and we talked about this yesterday. I mean, decoy might not be the right word, and we said that yesterday. Because he draws so much attention, it's opening up other things for Devontae Smith, for Dallas Goedert, all of those guys. It's opening things up there, but we expect dominance from this offense. That's the issue here.
We expect dominance. We
Yeah.
expect dominance from this offense based on the
talent
personnel they have.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so that's why everyone's so up in arms. They're 7-2, great. They're winning ball games. They're doing enough to win. But people have to expect dominance when you're paying $100 million to an A.J. Brown, $100 million to Devontae
Well,
Smith. Your
and it's
quarterback's
not that AJ has just all of a sudden had like one flash in the pan year, and then you're like, well, last year he was so good. He has been very good his entire career. Right? It's not like it's one of these guys that breaks out of nowhere. Who was the guy they had a couple of years ago? The receiver that had like a 4-game stretch where he was like awesome. Travis Fulgham.
Travis Fulgham. Oh, my
Right.
gosh, you're going way back.
So when they had Travis Fulgham, and it's like for 4 weeks he was like amazing, and you're like, why don't you getting Fulgham open? And why get? It's not like that where he had like a flash in the pan 4 weeks, and then he really wasn't all that good. A.J. Brown has been a consistent performer in this league. Devontae Smith has been a consistent performer in this league, and that's why you're like, look, you've got these two guys. How are we having this conversation for 4 years now where you can't figure out how to consistently, and I'm not saying they have to have 120 yards every week, but they should have 8 targets for you, 6 for you, hand the ball off to him 18 times, and then the rest, little crumbs for everybody else.
Well, it begs the question, too, right? Was Patullo the right guy for this job? They went in-house again. Remember, when they went in-house with Brian Johnson, this was the same type of issue, right? Like, they were having the offense was stagnant. They weren't getting everybody involved. There wasn't, like, an offense like you were towards the end of the year last year where Kellen Moore, was slow to start, but then eventually figured out. Because we were screaming about Kellen Moore, too, last season. But he eventually figured it out, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl. He was able to be more creative, have motion, get guys involved, find a way to spread the ball around. AJ was involved in the offense, right? So they were finding more ways with Kellen Moore, and that's why I think everyone's so upset with the job Patullo has done because he's not maximizing all of his guys that he has on this roster because they're so talented.
And one thing I'm a little surprised is Kevin Patullo was the pass game coordinator, and I was asking this question at the beginning of the year. Is last year they ran the ball so much. Is Patullo coming in as a offensive coordinator whose background is as a pass game coordinator going to make them lean on the pass game more? And his pass game just does not have enough creativity, and it does not have enough, depth to it at all. It is a very, very basic, elementary type of pass game, which is a little surprising considering his background is as a pass game coordinator. But I would say, all of these teams, 22, 23, 24, 25. I think all of them, over the big picture of the 17 weeks, we're always kind of like, I feel like this passing game is not as good as it can be.
Yeah, and I want to play this quick audio bite from Ryan Clark and kind of talking about the difference of like what it's like in the locker room based on the perception outside of the locker room. Take a listen to what Ryan Clark had to say.
And everybody's on the outside all the time, and like you're football players, and you're paid all this money, and you should be happy. Just go along. The team's winning. No, it's a job where individually you want to do well. Individually you want to contribute. And for A.J. Brown, in all the things that he's said, in all the tweets that he's tweeted or whatever it is, this is the best I've at least felt about what he feels about the situation, even if I don't feel great about what I'm seeing on film.
And I think that goes along with the stat I just brought up. They're not putting him in the position to dominate. I think that's where a lot of the frustration can come from. They're not putting him in that position where he can dominate. And listen, I know they have all these weapons that they got to get Devontae involved, Goddard, Saquon. But also, you have to adjust if you're Kevin Patullo and get that guy the football because he can help you elevate your offense.
Well,
you're so pedestrian. This is a problem.
Does the offense still work without A.J. Brown getting involved?
No.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, that's what we kind of talked about yesterday, right? Like, he is drawing attention. He's going to draw attention, and he's, in a sense, sometimes a decoy, right? Because Smith had a couple of good weeks, a lot of good games so far this year.
You might say they had one of their best offensive outputs this year without him.
Against the Giants.
Yeah, they did.
But
it was against the
in
Giants.
years past, when he didn't play against Tampa, they were terrible. When they didn't play in the playoff that year against Tampa, they were terrible. The reason they went and got him is because they had Devontae. Now, I get it. Devontae was a rookie that year, but they needed to get another guy because they were terrible offensively.
Yeah, and again, it was the New York Giants. They just fired their head coach, and when you play against elevated competition, when you get to the postseason, you play the Green Bay Packers, play Tampa, right? All these really good teams. You need an A.J. Brown in there. It's going to help you elevate your offense. And I think, he talked about it yesterday. I mean, he just wants to dominate. That's essentially his thing. We've known this. He's put out the Instagram post. Now, I understand. Is he doing too much with the social media stuff? Yes. There can be a balance here. It's not just yes or no, black and white type of issue here. There has to be some nuance. He is right, but is he going about it the right way? Probably not all the time, but he does have a point. The offense has been stagnant with Kevin Patullo at the helm. It hasn't been good enough. And when they went outside the organization to get someone fresh into the building to utilize all of these talents on offense, they were much better.
Hey, listen, I would say, and somebody texted this in, Mike in Dover says, AJ was disgruntled in 2023. He had 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. And again in 2024, he had 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. It's just who he is. Mike, I got news for you. That's who a lot of these wide receivers are. You're suggesting bringing in somebody else, and they're going to be a church mouse happy with the way this offense looks. I can appreciate if somebody's stepping up and saying what we're saying. Hey, guys, I'm in this locker room, and I'll say it. I'll be the guy who says it. We are not holding up our end of the bargain, right? Like you all yearn for someone to be like, hey, we got problems here. Somebody needs to be the leader and step up and say it. Well, then you're saying, well, they need to do that behind closed doors. Maybe so. But he certainly is a misunderstood guy. There's times where I don't want to say he's troubled, but, we just all act like there's a right and wrong way to handle this. And AJ is like, I'll be the bad guy here. Our offense isn't good enough. And Mike in Dover and Cole in LBI and Phil in Brigantine and
Mike in Ocean
Terry
City.
in Galloway and Mike in Ocean City, we all agree with AJ that the offense is not good enough. It's not good enough. And, the weird part is about this, it's taking A.J. Brown, a guy who said he didn't get fulfillment from winning the Super Bowl, to be the guy that's saying, for us to win the Super Bowl, something I didn't even get fulfillment by, we need to get our act together because it's not fair to our defense, which is kicking ass right now.
Yeah. Listen, he's a little bit of an odd duck. No question about it. But, he any receiver is a little bit of an odd duck. There's a lot of diva receivers out there.
But in 2023, 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, he's disgruntled. Why? Because the team was falling apart, and he saw it. He saw what was happening. He saw what was happening last year, that the team was falling apart. And what happened? What's wrong with the team right now? Passing. Our passing game stinks, and I'm a part of that. I'm a part of the passing game, and we stink. We're not holding up our end of the bargain.
Yep, there it is.
What happens in the offseason? April of 2026, Howie Roseman looks at A.J. Brown's numbers, and does he see $32 million worth of production from 2 targets a game? Probably not.
No, not at all. All right.
Which this thing's going to continue to come to a head.
I got to read this one from Chris, though, real quick.
Go ahead.
3 offensive coordinators the last 3 years, same quarterback. The pass game remains average at best. Hurts has proven to be a quarterback that cannot consistently put multiple good passing games together. Do you think Stafford would go one half, let alone one game, without targeting Puka Nacua more than 3 times? Never. Hurts is the problem, and every coordinator has to cover up Hurts' deficiencies. There lies the problem. When Hurts has to throw a lot over multiple games, he will throw picks. That's from Chris in Delaware. And I've talked a little bit about that. They have been so risk-adverse. And I asked the question the other day. Do we think that we overvalue the talent on this team?
I would say no. I don't think we overvalue the talent.
So if they don't overvalue the talent on this team, we all think AJ's good. We all think Devontae's good. We all think that Dallas is a good player. We all think that Saquon's a good player. We all think that the offensive line over the last 4 years has been very good. We think that Hurts is good, but if we think all those other guys are good, why are they not maximizing what they have?
Well, it goes back to the coaching. It goes back to the coaching.
Is that what AJ's saying? Or is AJ pointing the finger at Jalen
I just laid out the stats for you. They are not putting him in the position where he runs his better routes, right? The crossing routes, the in routes. He's not running them as much as he has in the past. He's towards the bottom of the barrel.
But
Receiver.
what AJ is saying, who is he pointing? Who is he not
I
throwing
think he's
under the
looking at it
bus?
as a collective. To me, it's the collective. As a collective, you could blame the coaching, the quarterback, and a bunch of other factors that I think
and
he's
AJ
pointing
himself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything, to be honest.
I would like to really sit down and watch the all 22 of AJ and just see what routes he's running consistently and what he's doing.
How many
and if he's open.
wind sprints is he doing throughout the game?
Yeah, just, the one play last game, he's open crossing over the middle. And Jalen ended up running the other way. He didn't see him, but he was running wide open over the middle. It's a crossing pattern. He's open. It was evident. And the pressure pushed Jalen out the opposite way. But how many times does that happen where there is a play there
Right.
and he is the guy that's underneath? I don't know that. Without watching the all-22, it's hard to kind of see that.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of nuance to it, right? Like, guys are going to miss open receivers. Happens across the NFL every single week. But there's also ways to schematically get him open, too. There's ways to get him involved. Schematically, bubble screens, things of that nature. You can get him the football. That's a coaching issue to me.
Which begs the question is, why aren't they doing that after 10 games? Or 9 games?
And that's my point. It goes back to Patullo. That's the problem. There has not been enough creativity, and Mike said it earlier. It's been a very bland, basic offense.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Not fun.
All right,
But they are
along.
7-2, and they're the one
Hey,
seed.
7-2. 7-2.
7-2, and guess what? I guarantee they sell out every game.
They will every single game. They could be 2-7. They'd sell out every game.
Sunday
Doesn't
night at
matter.
the Link's going to be rocking.
they could be 0-9 and they would
Doesn't
sell out.
matter. It doesn't matter. All right, let me get a Sixers nugget in here. Jared McCain, they're going to send him down to the Blue Coats. How about that, Mike? You're going to call a little Jared McCain action
That's
coming up
awesome.
this weekend. How about that? So he's been assigned to the G League team. They're going to increase his minutes. He's still going to have a minutes restriction. But remember, I mean, he came back, and it really hasn't been the same. He hasn't had that opportunity to really get going. I like the move by the Sixers to bring him down to the G League, get him some minutes, like get his feet wet. He didn't play a ton last year. I mean, he was hurt before Christmas break. So I like the move to get him minutes and just get him acclimated and get him some basketball games under his belt, because he's not going to play a lot with the big club right now, especially when they have the 3-guard rotation. So it makes me wonder, is he expendable at times? But I think it's a good move.
Yeah, and he'll play tonight in the G League, and you can watch that game on ESPN Plus. And then Saturday he will play the G League game. I will have the play-by-play call of that. Pat McCarthy's actually calling the game tonight with D-Line. I'm calling the game on Saturday, and the game on Saturday is 6 o'clock on the Roku channel. I think it's a good move just to get him some, and he's going to have a minute restriction at the G League as well.
Yeah.
So
But he
it's
can
not
stay
him going
for
out
longer
there.
stretches. That's the thing. He can stay out for longer stretches. That's the whole thing here and the key.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not going to go out there and play 35 minutes most likely. But yeah, he obviously is not in any rhythm. He needs to get a bucket. He's 0 for 9 from the field so far this year. He has not scored yet, but it'll be good. And the G League game, honestly, there's not a lot of defense in the G League.
No,
there's
there's
a lot
not.
of up and down.
And it moves.
Right, there's a lot of up and down, a lot of fluidity in the offense in terms of getting shots, getting the ball to the basket. So it should allow him to get more spurts, more minutes, be a bigger factor. I called the game on Saturday. The Blue Coats played, I think, 9 guys, and all 9 of them finished in double figures, just to give you an indication.
Yeah.
Like, balance,
Good defense.
scoring, everybody kind of gets a touch. So they should be able to get Jared McCain kind of going here. So I think there's a smart move saying, look, the minutes just aren't necessary right now. It's not that we don't need you or don't want you. We do need you and we do want you, but we want you to kind of have to find your way here. We want you to go down there, score 25 points, and then come back.
Now, it's been a couple of seasons since I've been really locked into the G League when I was working down there. Is the free throw still worth 2 in like the last couple of minutes?
Yeah. No, the free throw is worth 2 the whole game except
It's the
for the
whole
last
game.
2 minutes.
Okay. Except for
Except
the
for the
last.
last.
That's the rule. Okay.
Yeah. So basically,
Yep.
when you get to the free throw line, if you make the first free
Right.
throw, that's worth 2 points, and you only have to shoot one shot.
Yep.
You don't shoot both.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game down the G
That is
League. No
unbelievable.
defense. No defense.
It's a way to
and
speed
fun.
the game up a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep, absolutely. All right, I got
I
two
mean-
pack of nuggets in there for you.
I want my guys to get their foul shots up, and
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think that is like, kind of defeats the purpose of the fundamental league, right? You
Yeah.
want them to go down there and shoot free throws. But if you make your first free throw, it counts as 2. 1 equals 2.
Yeah, it's fun. I will get
participation
Jared McCain.
trophy. There you go.
Jared McCain minutes down there. All right, Mike and Pete, 2 pack of nuggets for you today, this afternoon. A little early bird special right there.
I like it. There you go. The Nuggets today and this hour of the show are brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Air Conditioning. They are your trusted source for generations. Call 609-390-3907 online at broadlees.net. We'll do more Nuggets again on tomorrow's show. He'll probably be back in his normal 4:30 spot tomorrow on the Sports Bash Live. Guy who will be in his normal spot when we come back, Jeff Nadeau's got his plays of the week. College football favorite plays. Stick around as our gambling expert Jeff Nadeau joins me next on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
on 97.3 ESPN.
3:30 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. A lot of A.J. Brown, and obviously he's been a big topic of conversation. A lot of people chiming in on the text board, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. You can continue to text in, get your thoughts on that. We got so much more happening on a Sports Bash Thursday. We're live today at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City, as we are each and every Thursday on the show. Next week, actually, we'll be in Egg Harbor Township. You can check us out over there, the EHT Chickies and Pete's. Tonight, Thursday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN as, who is it, Patriots-Jets tonight? Is that the
Jets
matchup?
at the Patriots, yep.
Not a great game. Although, Jets have won 2 in a row. Keep that in mind.
Patriots have won 7 in a row. Keep that in mind.
They have. 8-2, New England taking on the Jets. You can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. We talked about the Sixers. They play tomorrow night. The Sixers on tomorrow night. They take on the Pistons again tomorrow. No Paul George. He'll be out for the game. They have not given up an update on Joel Embiid. And I do think Dominic Barlow will play tomorrow night. I think he is back.
Yeah, he is available.
Yep. That game tomorrow night right here on 97.3 ESPN. So,
yeah, Embiid, another I don't know what to make of that.
but the Embiid stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't know. They said he's day-to-day, soreness in his knee. Is this because he's compensating with the other knee? I don't know what to make of it, but, By the way, Nadu will be joining us in a couple of minutes here. He just texted me. He's got something that he's finishing up. He's going to jump on board in just a second. The Embiid stuff is frustrating. I just don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to think about. Like right knee soreness, this could be him compensating because of the left knee. Sometimes that happens when you're afraid of your left knee thing. You're putting everything on the other knee, all that kind of stuff. It's just very frustrating because you felt like he was trending in the right direction, right?
Yeah, I mean, when he scores 20 points in 20 minutes, you're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you feel like, hey, he just needs to find fluidity in the offense. He just needs to kind of find his place, and he seemed like he was. And then that was definitely deflating because it seemed like everything was kind of going in a better direction for him. I'm not going to lie. It was definitely a kind of a gut punch to be like, oh, are you kidding me again? Now, if he plays Friday night and they're just like, yeah, he just had some soreness in his knee, no structural damage was the report from Shams Charania. So hopefully everything seems to be okay with that.
You just can't count on him. I mean, that's really what it comes down to for me. You just can't count on him.
No. That's been a problem for him his whole career,
And
right?
You can't. I mean, you can't trade him. For everyone who says
no,
just
and
trade
that's
the guy,
like I feel like that's always the most that's the easiest just crutch is you got to trade him.
yeah. You
Ask
can't-
yourself a
you
question:
can't.
who wants Joel Embiid?
He's damaged goods.
Yeah,
So you just gotta, I don't know, play it out with him and see what else you can do. I guess keep him on the floor somehow, some way. That's the only thing you can do,
all right.
and they're trying that. But
Yeah, well, and Paul George, another one who just not playing tomorrow. Don't know what he's going to be doing or when he's going to be ready to go.
yeah, they're saying he's not like his quad isn't strong enough, right?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Is like, oh, he's been practicing 5-on-5
Yeah.
like for almost 2 weeks. It feels like now. I don't understand the Paul George thing, how he's not quite ready to play yet. If you're saying, look, he's not ready to play because of the knee, but because his quads. I mean, what the?
That's the Anthony Davis thing where Nico Harrison wanted him to play, but the doctor said no way, he's not strong enough. He could tear his Achilles, which is what happened to Halliburton in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not
So
a
there
doctor,
is-
but it's perplexing that he's not ready because of something different. It seems like his knee was the problem. Now they're saying his quads could be the problem.
Yeah, so,
The other one is Barlow. He is back tomorrow night. Now, a lot of people don't know much about Barlow. And I didn't have by the way, Barlow's on a two-way deal. I mean, so theoretically, and I was talking to D. Lynham about this the other day. We were calling the Blue Coats game, and he is on their roster as a two-way player, but he's never going to play down here. If he plays well enough, they'll guarantee his contract. The two-way contracts, you get to play 50 games at the NBA level, and then they have to make a decision on whether they want to send you back to the G League or to the G League, or they guarantee your contract for the season.
And Jabari Walker's another two-way guy.
Right. I just don't know how there's room for both of those guys to be on the Sixers roster. I mean, at some point, if you're healthy, and now if you're not healthy, that's a different thing. But if you're healthy enough, where is Jabari Walker, Dominic Barlow, Paul George, Trendon Watford? Where are they all getting consistent enough minutes to all
not.
be up here?
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. 609-403-0973. We got a couple more texts we got a ton of texts that we can let's go. The last text guy, he was crazy. Hurts is not a problem. Hurts cares about two things: winning, not turning the ball over. Everything else is irrelevant to Hurts, and I love that. Wild to say the guy whose singular focus is winning every time he steps on the field is the problem. Everyone who says that, but Hurts lives it. And we are mad about it. That is just crazy. That is a point that, hey, listen, Jalen is not going to complain about anything. But when he goes out there, he's about one thing. Although I would say to that Mike text message, are you okay that maybe he went rogue and ran his own play? If that's the case, if he said, you know what, I'm going to go rogue and run my own play, are you okay with that?
Which that thing is another fascinating part of this week. I mean, another thing that we just haven't even focused on. Is that 4th and 6?
Yeah. All right, let's get to Jeff Nadeau here. We're talking about a lot of different things as this Thursday night, Week 11 underway right now. But also the season is coming down the wire for college football. Just a couple of weeks left. Three weeks left in the college football season. Jeff Nadeau is here, back with his picks of the week on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff, welcome back, man.
How are you, Mike? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, everything's good. It's getting to that time of the season. College football playoff stuff is going to be big. Then out the last couple straight, they're going to have a tough time with this 12-team playoff field. Don't you think this is going to get a little crazy?
Yeah, I think all that because there's just not a lot of great teams in college football. I mean, even that G5 team, I think it's going to be. We still have no idea who that's going to be. That conference, the AAC, is all over the place. I think when you really look at it, to me, there are probably 3 great teams. And then there are a couple really good teams, and then unlike the ACC, they're only going to have one representative at this point. They're not going to.
And the highest rated ACC team is Miami, and they might not even get in because they're probably not going to win the ACC.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you look at Georgia Tech and Pitt; they've got kind of a collision course next week against each other. Pitt's got Notre Dame this week. That could be a big game if Pitt's able to win that. Wow, that'd be nice. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks. The Big 12's kind of wild. You have 4 teams that I would say are better than everybody else: Ohio State, Indiana, Alabama, and A&M. And then you kind of have that second tier group, and it's going to be a mess. That's why I don't really get too hype on the playoff stuff until maybe next week and towards Thanksgiving.
Well, there are a couple games that will be a factor. This one here we're going to start off with. It's not you would think that the line would say this is not a very competitive game. It's Indiana and Wisconsin. Now, last week we've been going Indiana. You and I've been on the same page with you there. They just been blowing the doors off everybody. They needed a late touchdown against Penn State. They did not cover. Now they're playing at home against against Wisconsin. 28.5 their favorite this week. So coming off that tough game at Penn State last week, now that's spread all the way up to 28.5. Over-under, though, 44. I mean, to have a spread of 28.5 and the over-under 44, I thought was wild.
Well, the good news, though, Mike, is, while they got a close win, the main thing is they got to win. You're not going to win every week 56-6, but they had, when it mattered most, they went down and got the job done, and it counts a win nonetheless. Now you get to go back home. Wisconsin is off a bizarre game against Washington where they were able to win. They only had about 40 passing yards, though. It was an ugly game. Rain, wind was a factor. They got their win. Now they're going to come back here and face the hard reality that their season is virtually over at this point. They usually lay down and die, and this offense has been dreadful. I mean, even last week, I mentioned they only averaged I think they only had 40 passing yards. Now you got to go up and face the best offense in the country, one of the best defenses in the country. And if you can't move the football, keep drives going, convert on third down, score in the red zone, Indiana will make mincemeat of you real quick. We know that after last week, Indiana's got to keep driving that score up. When they win, it's generally by margin. You look at some of these scores, I don't have to tell you, Mike, 55-10, 56-6, 38-13, 63-10. I mean, only the one game this year against Iowa, they didn't win by more than a touchdown. Every other one was by double digits. So, yeah, I'm going to lay a big number here. I think the quickest way to lose fast against Indiana is not convert. I think this is like a 45-10 type of game, 41-7. Let's lay it here. Wisconsin can't move the ball.
Yeah, I follow you on that one, and the over sounds like a good play. Is that, by the way, 94% money line Indiana, 65% spread Indiana. Was a little surprised by that. By the way, the over has 91% of the money. Right
this is all sharp money, Mike, on Indiana early here. I mean, that it's above 28. But again, how many points you have to ask yourself? How many points is Wisconsin going to score? Let's just say maybe 10, right? I mean, Indiana's going to probably push 40. This is probably going to get ugly.
Yeah, and by the way, I can't believe we're talking about a football game between Wisconsin and Indiana, and the team that's getting mocked here is Wisconsin. Like, what has happened in football is crazy.
What good coaches do for you?
Yep, I love Cignetti, man. He's the guy. He's the man up there. All right, let's go to UConn and Air Force. I know you always like to get an academy in there, plus 6.5 for the Falcons. UConn is a favorite here. Over under 63.5. Fun. A lot of offense possibly in this one. When you look at the bets right now, 93 money line, UConn 86% spread, UConn over under about 50-50. It's 57-43 with people playing the under 63.5.
Yeah, there's some sevens out there, Mike. I'm going to lean on Air Force here, though. You look at, I think really one of the stories that nobody's talking about though in college football is Joe Fagnano, the quarterback at UConn. Not one interception this season. Almost 3,000 yards. Pretty unbelievable. Could he throw one here? We'll see. He hasn't thrown one yet. But I look at what this UConn team, the Achilles heel of this team has been defensively. They time and time again get caught in these kind of weird performances. One week they'll look real good, and then they'll go to Rice and lose. Their defense just isn't real good. I've noticed with Air Force, they continue to stay very close in a lot of games. They won last week. They're off a couple of wins in a row. They're starting to get a little confidence here in Troy Calhoun. We know they're going to hold the football for a long period of time. The season is still open for Air Force. If you want to go to a bowl game, you have to have this game. They have 3 games left. They have 3 wins. You need this game here. I think the Flyboys go on the road and at least keep this close. Defense has improved a little bit the last couple of weeks. I think they hold the football, do what they normally do, run for a lot of yards. I think getting 7. Throw in, Mike, a lot of the sharpest of money is on Air Force here. This number was 8.5, 9 earlier in the week. It's down below that 7 mark. There is some 7s out there. So shop around. Maybe you get a 7.
All right, Jeff Nadeau's favorite plays this week. Let's go to a Big Ten, Iowa, USC, Saturday, 3:30. USC favored by 6.5, 7, depending on your book. Iowa 3-0 against the spread on the road this season, 3-0 against the spread versus ranked opponents, 8-1 against the spread as a home favorite since the start of last season is USC. So there's a lot of interesting trends in this one. Right now, 73% money line USC, 43% taking USC and the number, and 60-40 are going under. 60 going under the number 48.5.
Yeah, I really like this spot. Give me USC at home. USC, Mike's been at home for about 2 weeks now. Had an extra day to prepare with the Friday night win against Northwestern. We know Iowa was in a knockdown, drag-out game. Weather was terrible. you have to wonder, where is their psyche now? I mean, you score with about a minute and a half to go. Problem is, you gave Oregon too much time. All they needed was a field goal. They go down, kick it, get the job done. Now you got to pick your bootstraps up, go out to USC, and face one of the best offenses in the country. Look, Mike, the truth of the matter is, while Iowa can be good defensively, the offense still sucks. I mean, they can't throw the football. They're going to have to match score for score, and I don't think that's going to happen here. USC's legit. They also have a good defensive line, 21st in sacks this year. I think to heat up the pocket on a young, or not a young quarterback, but an unproven quarterback at this level. Throw in also, USC has won every game at home this year by 2 touchdowns or more. They flex their muscles in the Coliseum. That's where they play, right? Coliseum? Wherever they are. Take USC. They're going to beat up Iowa. I laid the 6 here.
They are at the Coliseum. UCLA at the Rose Bowl, but they're moving to Sci-Fi, apparently. They are going to be out of the Rose Bowl there. Yeah, and by the way, USC is playing for potentially a spot in the playoffs. I mean, they're one of those teams that's a little fringy right now. They need all the wins they can get. Another college game, Arizona, number 25, Cincinnati. Right now, Arizona on the road at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 6-point favorite in the game, over under 56. Right now, the spread number is 85% is going Cincinnati. Money line, 90% Cincinnati, and 65% are going over the number 56.5.
You know, Cincinnati, Mike, right there in the Big 12. I mean, they're one game back of BYU, Texas Tech. Obviously, a lot still to play for the Bearcats. They're off their first loss, or sorry, not their first. Yeah, I think it was their first loss against Utah. They had a bye week, kind of were able to lick their wounds a little bit. They do have a big game next week against BYU back at home. But, Mike, you got to take care of business here against Arizona. You're under a touchdown, which is nice. Like I mentioned, they get the bye. They've got a great quarterback in Brennan Sorsby, a good defense. I was really impressed with how well the defense played against Baylor a couple of weeks back. I don't know that we've given Cincinnati enough credit. Another team who at home has dominated, won every game at home by 8 or more points. This is an Arizona team, definitely improved under Brett Brennan. They definitely want more than just ball eligibility, but I just don't think they have enough here. The fact that I can get this under a touchdown, I think is helpful. Give me Cincinnati back at home. I'll lay the 6.5 here with the Bearcats.
All right, Jeff's favorite college plays of the week here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. One NFL play for you, and it's in the NFC South, where the Panthers, tough team to get a read on, and the Falcons, another team that's been somewhat up and down all season long. That's your NFL play this week. How do you see that one?
Yeah, Atlanta's not been real good against the run. They're also not a real good favorite, Mike. I think they're 1-4 over the last 5 as a fave. They're just playing a lot of close games, the Atlanta Falcons. And you look at Carolina, I know they're kind of bipolar, if you will. One week they'll look good, and then they'll lose the next week. They beat the Packers, then lose to, who was it, the Jets, I think, last week. They are 5-5. This is a big game. Obviously, it's a divisional game. I'm willing to buy into the Rico Dowdle hype. He has been very good. I think he runs the ball effectively. I think they at least keep this game close. These games are always close, seemingly, in that conference and in that division. So give me the Panthers plus the 3.5. Good as a dog, playing against a pretty lukewarm favorite. I like Carolina. Mike.
Carolina on the road, by the way, this week. It seems like they play 1 week at Green Bay, they win. They play the Saints the next week, they lose. So take them on the road this week against Atlanta. At Jeff Nadeau, follow him there for more of his betting tips and trends and plays. And, of course, Thursdays right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, man, good to see you.
Thanks, Mike. See you next week.
All right, there's Jeff, everybody, at Jeff Nadeau. Make sure you follow him on the X platform and on his Patreon and all of his sites that you can get his betting insight and analysis. All right, we are live at Chickies and Pete's in Atlantic City. Go where the players go right here, the Sports Bash, every Thursday live. 4 o'clock hour, Andrew DeCecco has football at 4. And then coming up at 5 o'clock, Casey Joyner has One Thought. Every game, Michael Kasky-Blomain, the latest on the Sixers and all the news from the Sixers with Michael Kasky-Blomain tonight at 5:30 right here on the Sports Bash. First, it's your cue to call right now, 609-573-3776, 3776. Caller number 7. You are a qualifier for this year's 99 Bottles Party at Maynard's in Margate. You must be present to win on Wednesday, November 26th at Maynard's in Margate. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered for a chance to win tons of great tickets. Eagles club box seats, multiple Sixers tickets, Flyers tickets, concert tickets, including concert tickets to go see Jack Johnson, OAR, Journey at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, Aaron Lewis from Stain, comedian Bert Kreischer, and so many more. Caller 7 right now. Good luck.
home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DeCecco. Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and is brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. And, of course, we'll be back there on Monday. The Eagles will have played the Detroit Lions. It is a Sunday night football matchup that you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew DeCecco is in the house for today's Football at 4. And, of course, the Eagles getting ready for a very tough Lions matchup here. This matchup, I've been talking a lot about it this week. I want to get Andrew's take on that. Obviously, a lot happening with this team. We did hear from A.J. Brown throughout the day. He spoke last night. You feel for the guy a little bit here. He just wants this offense to hold up its end of the bargain. And I want to get Andrew's take on why the offense isn't holding up their end of the bargain first before we get to all that stuff. Andrew, you watch this team, and it's perplexing at times. How does a team with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and this offensive line, which is obviously very good, it's not as good as it has been, but how does an offense with all this talent struggle the way we saw them struggle on not only Monday night, but throughout the season? They have so many lulls. So I can kind of feel what A.J. Brown's saying there, that they're not holding up their end of the bargain, and he knows it.
Yeah, well, I know that the consensus would like to point the finger solely at Kevin Patullo, but the reality of the situation, Mike, is that it's a multitude of reasons why the offense hasn't performed to standard. You can look at the offensive line. They haven't been healthy for the better part of the season. And when you're foundationally built to run the football and you can't do that, you're not able to tap into that area of your game. And if you're not throwing the football effectively, all of a sudden that further compounds things. And I would also look at the play calling, the sequencing, the route concepts. And yes, Jalen Hurts at times has not been the player who they need him to be, who he has been at points of his career, at most of his career. There's plays to be made out there. And I think when you hear a lot of players, Jalen Hurts himself, chalk it up as execution as to why they're not fulfilling and meeting and playing to their standards, I think that also has a lot to do with it. So I look at it in the sense of last season, the passing game looked largely similar to what we're seeing right now. The difference is Saquon Barkley in that rushing attack was able to take over games and dictate how defenses played them, and now they don't have that, to this point, to hang their hat on.
Yeah, and, obviously, you look at the run game, it's not the same. What about the passing game, though? Okay, the run game, they're stifling a little bit. They're getting to Saquon. He's not getting the same lanes, maybe the offensive line. But is the passing game, is there more there? Is there more that should be there when you see this passing game kind of emerge and evolve week to week?
Well, there certainly should be when you have that kind of firepower and star power on that side of the ball. But again, I go back to something that I think is kind of overlooked here. This is the way that Nick Sirianni wants to play football from an offensive standpoint. They're conservative. They prioritize ball security more than any team out there. And it's hard to argue with the results, right? They've won at a remarkable clip since the bye week of last season. But where I agree with AJ is that he's trying to get out in front of things here, and a lot of this stuff is getting swept under the rug, and he's trying to put a spotlight on it so that when you get in those high leverage moments, those critical situations, you're able to kind of have that rectified. You're not blind to it. It's not a blind spot. And so philosophically, this is what the Eagles want to be offensively, and that's the way that it's going to be, that conservative, risk-averse style under Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. That's the way that's what he believes in with conviction, and it's hard to argue the results. Now, I think you can certainly strike that balance, and in a game against the Detroit Lions, they're going to have to get more aggressive and put up points because the Lions are averaging, Mike, 31.4 points a game, and Jared Goff is second in the NFL with 20 touchdown throws. So they're going to move the football, and now the Eagles have to be able to tap into another facet of their offense and really become a little bit more aggressive, in my estimation.
Andrew DeCecco, Football at 4 from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. And AJ stood at his locker last night for about 10 minutes. He says, I don't care if I'm misunderstood. I'll stand up here and I'll fall on the sword if I have to. Do you see a guy who's, like, troubled by it? Like, do you feel for the guy as he's standing there? And he seems like he's like, it almost pains him that this offense is going through what it's going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, he's trying to, if he's willing to have to be the quote-unquote bad guy, he's willing to do that if it's for the greater good of the football team. And I think he is largely misunderstood. He doesn't care that he's misunderstood. But there's this sentiment out there that he's infatuated with stats and wants to get his at the expense of the team. That's not the case at all. He prioritizes winning just as much as everybody else in that locker room. But he also knows, Mike, the impact they can have on a football game. On a given play, he can alter momentum. He works hard for those moments. He wants that pressure. He wants the football, and good things happen when A.J. Brown gets the football. And when you're laboring your way down the field and you're someone like A.J. Brown and you know the impact that you can have on a game and you're not getting the football, naturally that's going to conjure frustration. Do I always agree with how he delivers his messaging? Of course not. But it's well taken.
Yeah.
He's right, and they need to be able they should be listening to AJ and trying to rectify this offense. It's far too talented for it to be the product that we're seeing on a week in, week out basis.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think he said much wrong this time around. I think he's just saying, hey, look, we're not holding up our end of the bargain. We can't expect the defense to win all these games first. We've got to be better. He was very similar last year where what's wrong? Passing game. And then we saw the passing game kind of get into gear. Hopefully this is what kickstarts this offense. But this is a offense they're going to face in the Detroit Lions that is a different animal, right? They've got, one of the things with Detroit that I like, Andrew, is the cohesion they have. You got Jared Goff. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got Jameson Williams. Their offense, they've been together. Now, they do have a new play caller, and now Dan Campbell has taken over the play calling. But this is a very explosive offense. Should be an interesting matchup. What did you like about the Philly defense against Green Bay last week that you think will match up against this Detroit high-powered offense that scored 44 last week?
Well, they were extremely physical. And I think from a pass rushing standpoint, things started to click. And I don't think that was any mistake when you add someone like Jalen Phillips to the mix. When you get back Nolan Smith from injured reserve, they play with toughness and physicality. Nakobe Dean attacking downhill and setting the tone there in run support, picked up his first strip sack of his career. They're just playing, all three levels are complementing each other. And I think now what you're seeing is when they're able to get home, and Vic Fangio doesn't have to blitz. I think they blitzed at 9.5%, which is extremely low considering what they've had to do this season. When you're able to get home with traditional pressure, that alleviates a lot of the burden from the back end. And you didn't hear Adoree Jackson's name called all that much, and I think that was a direct byproduct of what a pass rush can do and how it can help all three levels. And you also saw Jalen Carter and Moro Jomo get involved a little bit more than they have. And when you have other players you have to account for, that opens things up for everybody. And all of a sudden, that cornerback 2 spot that was often discussed this season, and rightfully so, isn't as much under the microscope as it has been.
You look at the impact, Andrew DeCecco's with us here, a little Football at 4, the impact of Jalen Phillips. What did you notice right off the bat that he added?
Physicality in the run game. And that's something that I sort of mentioned when they acquired him. He's a two-way player. He can affect the run, and he can certainly get after the passer, but brings a lot of energy. Set the edge with authority. Played 53 snaps in that game, Mike. That was 78% of the Eagles' defensive total that game. And he just plays with his hair on fire, and he flows to the football with urgency. And that he kind of fit in seamlessly with the players that they already have, because that same mindset is adopted across the board from everybody on that defense, and it's something that they pride themselves on. And I think he is really another, when you look at that defense, I mentioned Nakobe Dean. Well, Jalen Phillips is another one of those tone setters that teams are going to have to reckon with.
Yeah, and obviously he was a big factor in the game, got the game ball after the game. He adds something there. I don't know about you, but did it add to what Jalix Hunt brings to the table? And then you saw a sack from Nolan Smith, who probably will see his snap count go up a little bit.
Yeah, and I know we live in a world of stats, and sometimes everyone wants to look at sacks as a metric and maybe equate that to how productive a player is being. But honestly, I think Jalen Hunt's had a solid season, and now he's getting the stats to start to reflect that. Sacks in back-to-back games. He flies around, brings a lot of juice. He's a solid run defender as well, setting the edge with authority. And now he's probably slotted into a role in which he's probably more ideally suited as that third edge rusher. And every player is now going to benefit from not having to take on the lion's share of the snaps. And it's going to help for preservation purposes, but it's also going to help the defense where you're able to send waves. And they have players who can do different things. Brandon Graham, really good in run support. Jalen Phillips, he's rangy, he has really long arms, and he's able to defeat tackles with regularity. Jalen Hunt had a lot more energy, and you're able to see what he can do in his role, and Nolan Smith eventually is going to continue to see his snaps ramp up, I would imagine, and he's their second-best edge rusher. So now you're keeping everybody fresh, and they're all bringing something different to the table. And I just want to highlight Jalen Hunt there because I think there's a misconception out there that he hasn't necessarily lived up to standards, because if you go back and you watch the tape, there's a lot more beyond the sack total that he's doing, and it's no mistake that Vic Fangio has remained bullish on Jalen Hunt and his development.
Yeah, and I want to get your take on this matchup too, because I kind of look at this as a very interesting spot in the season, Andrew, in that a couple of years ago they're 10-1. Very similar, where they had a lot of big wins. You know, they beat Kansas City on the road. They had beaten Buffalo that year. You know, they won against Dallas, so a good Dallas team. They had some big wins, and you're like, look, they're finding ways to win. They just keep finding ways to win. And then they played San Francisco, and they got the doors beat off them, and then the season fell apart. This feels like a moment right here. This Lions team feels very similar to that San Fran team, where they felt that they actually were the better team last year if those injuries didn't cripple them. They wanted to open the season against Philly this year to show them. So if the Lions come in here and win this game, should we be concerned about the big picture?
Yeah, and it always bugged me when you hear a lot of folks after the game, whether it's on social media or whatever, or talk radio, and they say, yeah, but they're winning the game, so it shouldn't, nothing to see here, it doesn't matter. Well, what A.J. Brown's trying to get across, and I believe his point's well taken, is you can't win that way sustainably in the NFL. And I understand the Eagles have a track record to support that, and it's hard to argue against it. But as Jalen Hurts will tell you, it doesn't get you until it gets you. And he's trying to get out in front of things before it burns them in an inopportune spot down the line. And so you look at this Lions game, Mike, and you equated it to the 2023 game against the 49ers. I don't see it that way, because this defense is head and shoulders above that defense. They are starting to hit their stride. So they're never going to just allow a team to dictate what they want to do. And they have the physicality and the toughness. They're not going to get shoved around. Offensively, you've seen glimpses and spurts. They haven't been consistent. They haven't played 4 quarters of Eagles football and played to that standard that they set for themselves. But because they have that kind of talent, especially on the defensive side, where it was largely absent in 2023, they're an older defense. You're relying on players like Shaq Leonard, Nicholas Morrow, Bradley Roby, and so it's nothing like that. It pales. This team is head and shoulders above it. So
definitely
I don't
better
think it's
defense
that way. But it is a measuring stick game for sure. And I kind of look at it like the Baltimore Ravens game of last season, where you look back on it, and that was the turning point where they went into Baltimore, where everyone was saying that the Baltimore Ravens are a physical team. It's cold. Are the Eagles going to be able to match their physicality? Well, the Ravens had to match the Eagles' physicality in that game, and I think they used that as a launching pad towards that backstretch of the season.
Yeah, I would just add that that defense, you're right, was nowhere near as good as this defense. They had coordinator changes. What I will say is you can't expect the defense to give up 7 points every single week and win games. That's where I think AJ's right. The defense is giving up 7. We can win 10-7, but if the defense gives up 17, it's a stretch to think, can we score 21 right now? That's what his messaging kind of is, and I think that's fair to ask. You can't ask, especially Detroit, Dallas, Chicago, they've got some good offenses the next 3 matchups that they're facing here. What is something about the Detroit offense that would worry you in this matchup?
Yeah, and by the way, I agree with you. You can't expect the defense and special teams to keep picking up the tab, especially when you look at the money that's invested in this offense that's supposed to be high octane. They have to be able to play complementary football and alleviate some of that pressure because, as you mentioned, it's not realistic or feasible for the defense to be able to continuously hold teams to 7, 10, 17 points. Eventually, the offense has to answer the bell here, but the Lions, from an offensive standpoint, have a lot of players who I like. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, that two-headed rushing attack. Now, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's one of my favorite players to watch in the NFL. If you remember before the draft, Mike, I actually was on with you, and I had him rated even higher than Bijan Robinson. And
I remember that.
I just think his ability to catch the football, 32 catches, he's dynamic in space, so tackling in the open field becomes even more paramount this game. But they also have Laporta. Laporta has their tight end, 49 targets this season, second on the Lions, and he's that intermediary threat and safety valve for Jared Goff. Jameson Williams is averaging 17.6 yards per reception, and he's the X factor for me because if he is able to capitalize on any kind of dysfunction in the back end or miscommunication, he's proven that he can get behind the secondary. Then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who thrives in short to intermediate levels of the field, good short area quickness, tough to bring down after the catch. So this is a team that has a wealth of weapons, and the Eagles are going to have to really be on their A game and make sure that they're not allowing any kind of lapses and mental lapses or not bringing down players in the open field, which has been an issue earlier in the season. But Jared Goff, by the way, 20 touchdowns passing on the season. That's second in the NFL. And his passing yardage, 2,235 yards, I believe, is ninth in the NFL. So they're going to be able to put up points. The Eagles have to make sure that they're answering the bell on their end offensively and trying to keep pace.
Offensively, we've been talking about the struggles. Where can Detroit's defense, where are they a little light?
At the corners. Yeah. I think you look at Terry.
So big
Arnold,
week for AJ, right? Big week for AJ?
It should be. And I think that in a game like this, Mike, it behooves the Eagles to get their top passing option involved early if you want to have a chance to put up some points against this team. But I look at Terry Arnold, their corner, and he was often compared to Quinyon Mitchell in that draft. And I like Quinyon Mitchell for a number of reasons. I preferred him over Arnold, but Arnold has some deficiencies in coverage. I like Brian Branch. I like their safeties. But I think if you look at the cornerback spot is where I think that they're a little light. Linebacker, Jack Campbell was another player who a lot of folks laughed at when the Lions took an off-ball linebacker in the first round. He's been a solid player, but this is a matchup where I think the Eagles should be able to get things going in the passing game. Now, my understanding, at least on Thursday, is that the wind is going to be a big factor, so you could conceivably see a run-heavy approach in this game. But I think that if the Eagles were to exploit the Lions in any one area, it would be on the corners.
All right, there you go. A little look at the Lions and the Eagles Sunday Night Football right here on 97.3 ESPN. The pregame coverage starts at 7. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call, 8:15 on Sunday night. Big one, Eagles-Lions. Lions looking to show the world that, hey, don't forget about us, too. Everybody seemed to be talking about Green Bay and everybody else. Seattle's starting to get a little bit, the Rams. But this Lions team is pretty darn good. We'll get a look at them on Sunday Night Football. He's Andrew DeCecco. This has been Football at 4. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
There's Andrew, of course, is Football at 4 each and every day at 4 o'clock right here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video streaming on the X platform and on YouTube at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe, like, be a part of the show. Text board always open, 609-403-0973. You can text the text board throughout the show, 609-403-0973. Another chance for you to qualify for 99 bottles. Casey Joyner, One Thought every game, will get his breakdown on the matchups he's looking for. Eagles, Lions, plus One Thought on every Week 11 game. Michael Kasky-Blomain talks a little Sixers as well as they get ready to take on the Pistons tomorrow night right here on 97.3 ESPN. Got a big NFL weekend here on 97.3 ESPN. and our sister station, Rock 1041. Don't forget, you can check out select games on Rock 1041. So when you're driving around in your car and you're trying to get things done this Saturday and Sunday, we got a lot of action for you, including on Sunday right here on 97.3 ESPN. Good game, Bills and Bucks. Looking forward to that one. Kind of rooting for the Bills there. Got to get the Bucks knocked down, and then we'll have the big Chiefs-Broncos matchup for you. That'll lead you up into the Eagles and the Lions. College football Saturday. How about Texas and Georgia on Rock 104 on Saturday night? Big Texas-Georgia matchup. Oklahoma-Alabama is on 97.3 ESPN. So we got a lot happening for you there. Holy mackerel, we're live at Chickies and Pete's, of course. Go where the players go. It's the official sports bar of the Philadelphia Eagles, and we got so much more for you here on this Thursday edition of the Sports Bash.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2025 season on Sunday Night Football, hosting the Detroit Lions.
1st and 10 at the Lions 45. Hurts back again, looks, fires, diving reception is A.J. Brown.
Pre-game coverage starts at 7 p.m. with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick calling all the action, starting at 8:20. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station. You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, more Sports Bash live here at Chickies and Pete's. Go where the players go. Right here at Chickies and Pete's, of course, you got the Sweet Heat wings from A.J. Brown. A little sweet, a little heat. You get a little both. You're going to hit a little sweet on the Eagles defense, which Vic Fangio is in charge of. You know, we were talking with DeCecco, and I've been saying about how this game reminds me of that Niner game. Now, there would be people out there that would think that this Eagle defense will not let this season, because that defense a couple of years ago was so bad, which I agree with. It has nothing to do with this defense being bad and that defense, or being bad and that defense being bad. This defense is very good. What I said is this defense you cannot expect the defense to give up 7 points every week. This defense is very good. But if you go back to that team a couple of years ago, that defense was horrible. Their offense was holding up their end of the bargain, though. They were losing like 33-31. If this defense gives up 17 points, which they're really good this year, this team, this defense, and I think they're even getting better and better and better. But I can't expect them to give up 7 points every single week. That's just fantasy world. That's unrealistic. You're playing Detroit, very good offense. You're playing Dallas, very good offense. Green Bay, as I said all year, their offense not on the same level as Detroit. Their offense not on the same level as as Dallas. The Green Bay offense with guys missing 7 points against them, really good. But you look back this season, they gave up 26 points against the Rams, 25 points against the Falcons. You give up 25 points to anybody with this offense, you're in trouble, right? You guys, you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
You give up more than 20 points with the way this offense is playing right now, you're in trouble. So to expect your defense to play like they did against Green Bay every single week is a fantasy world. I get the team a couple of years ago. That defense was so bad, they were non-competitively bad. But this defense is not able to hold teams to 7 points every single week. The offense is going to have to hold up their end of the bargain. And I think they have a good opportunity to prove this week what kind of defense they are against a very good Lions team who was fifth in the NFL in offensive efficiency this season. So let's listen to what the defensive coordinator Vic Fangio has to say about his new weapon in Jalen Phillips and this Eagle defense right now. Here is the Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio.
Okay. Hey, Vic, did you intend to play Jalen Phillips that many snaps going into the game, or was it just how he was playing and you're like, let's just roll with it?
No, that was the intention. He's been playing all year. It's not like he's been inactive.
As far as picking up the scheme, though?
Well, a lot of carryover from 23.
It's our first time speaking with you since that trade. What was your view of the acquisition and your background with him?
All for it.
And what do you like about Jalen as a player?
You guys saw it. He plays hard. He's strong at the point, good pass rusher, you know.
Does it help?
When you shop at Nordstrom's, you get good stuff.
Does it help you to have that different type of body type at that position with him on the team?
It's not so much body type, but I know what you're saying. It's the way he plays, you know. He plays big.
On that 4th and 1 with Morrow sort of calling it out, how is that rare for a defensive tackle to be able to do that?
You know, some of it's, you know, preparation during the week. Some of it's what's happened in the game. Some of it could be, you know, a stance that he sensed, whatever. But, you know, it's everything. But, no, I don't think it's rare if you're a smart player, and Mo is.
You had a lot of moving parts this year, guys coming and going, injury layoffs, trades, coming out of retirement, going into retirement. When you look at the way they played together on Monday night, where does that come from? Just that ability to have kind of new pieces and play?
Yeah, I think the position coaches did a good job getting everybody ready. You know, like there's a lot of things you mentioned which are all true. but some of them have some carryover, like in Jalen's case. BG obviously was here last year. He didn't get to play much because he was on a snap limitation. The same thing with Nolan. He was on a snap limitation. Nolan's back and he's been here. So, yeah, I think overall the players and their position coaches did a good job getting them ready.
The secondary it's cornerback too was a big question in training camp. You had your own doubts that you expressed about Adoree in training camp. Are you surprised that he's still the guy there, and what does that say about him that he is still the guy there at this point?
No, I'm not really surprised. He's a survivor. I think this is his 9th or 10th year. So if you've survived that long, you got a little something in you. And hopefully he can take that game, build on it, and keep playing good.
Another week for Michael Carter to practice. What have you seen in him that you like and he can fit?
Yeah, I think he's a good nickel. That's his best position. And he's learning the nuances of our defense, different for him compared to Jalen. Everything's totally new for him, plus there's more to learn. But like him. And, if we need another nickel, he's going in.
Campbell took over play calling last week for Detroit. What changed?
Well, they had 550 yards, I think, and about half of it was running and half of it was passing. So they were really good. And they got a lot of talent on that side of the ball. They got the best O-line in the league. Quarterback, according to Dan's, playing the best that he's ever played. The 2 good running backs. The receivers are all fast. It's a good unit to be calling plays for.
When you look at Jalen Phillips' impact, how much does he help Jalen Carter and vice versa with them both being on the field together?
Yeah, I think the more good players you have out there, it's going to benefit everybody. And, that's not rocket science. When you get disruptive players, other players fall into plays, like on the sack that Jalek's got. Jalen really made the play, applied the pressure and flushed the quarterback. And Jalen's finished it, so the more players you have that can do that, the better off.
Some signs with Morrow either in the summer or last year that led you to believe he'd have this type of season?
Yeah, last year he played good. He was playing, I don't know, Ruben would know how many snaps a game he was playing last year.
Exact same number this year as he did all last year. So about.
Yeah, so he was a 25 play a game guy last year. Now he's a lot more. But when he played last year, he played good.
Is that tough to sometimes project, like if that production will remain consistent when the snap count increases?
It shouldn't. In his case, the extra load does affect him a little bit. He's on the smaller size as a defensive lineman goes, so he's got to strain a little bit more than somebody else. So it does affect him a little bit that way.
How do you sort of view Jihad's role right now with the defense and moving forward?
Just what it's been. We're mixing him. He's playing some outside, playing some inside. Totally happy with his play at both spots and thrilled to have him.
Like a learning curve with he had a ton of snaps as a starter. Now he's moving around a little bit. It's kind of is it a lot on his plate as a rookie?
There is, particularly when we move him outside. Because all camp and everything, he was strictly inside because we knew Nakobe was going to miss 7 games or whatever it was. And for a rookie, that's tough. You'd compare it to last year with Quinyon. We messed with him at nickel early in the offseason, a little bit of camp. Once we put him at right corner, never moved him, Same thing with Coop last year. He was the backup nickel to start because he missed all of camp, starting dime, so he had 2. And then once we said, hey, you're the nickel, you don't want to give a rookie too many extra jobs, but sometimes you're forced to.
Does Jihad give you a coverage element at that position that outside? Maybe?
Yeah, he should excel at that. He should. But again, it's the reps.
What did
Jair show you when, the limited time you were with him in practice? What was kind of your perspective?
Yeah, I thought he was looking pretty good, and was anxious to see him play in a game and see how it looked. He decided otherwise, and we all respect that.
Jakorian, you had mentioned.
Hold on, real quick.
As a coach.
Ooh, he kind of put you in your place there. Go ahead.
As a coach, how do you go about balancing what's best for Jihad like this week? Because I know you want to win the game.
Yeah, it's what's best for the team.
Take development and next year and that stuff into consideration.
No.
With Jakorian, you had mentioned a couple weeks ago when he got back to practice, you used the term incomplete.
Mm-hmm. And it hadn't
you always
changed.
stress how important practice is. So you've had him for 3 weeks back in practice. How has he looked to you?
Still to say, I don't think you truly know anybody, particularly a corner, until you're out there where there's a scoreboard. And so it's kind of feel the same, but optimistic, but the same.
The last press conference when the topic of Cooper on the outside came up, you mentioned there wasn't really another option inside. Does Michael Carter's acquisition change the equation?
Possibly. Yep.
Do you think Jihad can grow into a full-time edge rusher as his career goes on?
Maybe. I like him as an ILB, but we'll see.
Do you think he needs to get better at it to be able to maybe become a full-time edge?
I just haven't seen him enough out there, so I don't know that I can give you an informed, great answer on that.
What has to happen for Cooper to become a full-time outside corner?
Cooper? Oh, just that the play out there is not good enough.
In Quignon's case, you've mixed up whether he's playing field side or boundary side. What dictates that? I want to get
every game's different. Could be a jersey number, could be call. There's a ton of variables in it.
With go ahead. With Cooper outside, to get better, he's been at nickel all this time. Is there faith that if he has more reps there, that he would get better to the point where he would be able to start there?
Well, he does start there in the base. And Cooper's a little different in that all he played in college was corner. And there's a little less to learn there. It's mentally. But because of his background and his football acumen, he can adjust to that quicker and better than most.
There's Vic Fangio, who had a lot of interesting things to say, including I thought about Michael Carter. He did acknowledge that the acquisition does change the equation. He says possibly, yep. And then he was asked about Cooper DeJean, what would have to happen for him to become a full-time outside corner. He says, the play out there, if it's not good enough, he would have to move Cooper DeJean out there. I guess they've gotten to the point, and he did talk about Adoree Jackson, that he's a fighter. He's been around for years. So far they do not feel like they have to move on from him. The other thing that was interesting about it, obviously, when you take a look at some of the things he said when it regards to Jihad Campbell. He says, I like him better as an inside linebacker. And he said about Jalen Phillips, when you shop at Nordstrom, you get good stuff. You ever shop at Nordstrom, PJ?
Absolutely. Can I just say something about Vic? I got to have, Thanksgiving dinner with that man.
See, one of the answers to the question of, if you could have a beer with somebody,
yes,
a Philly.
He's up there.
He did say Jair Alexander that he was looking good, was anxious to see him playing in the game, but he decided otherwise, and we do respect that. So we'll see what ends up happening with Jair Alexander, who it looks like right now has decided to step away. Well, he certainly has decided, but we'll see if this is long-term or not. When we come back, it's the unsportsmanlike moment of the day, and it's next.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow night on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Justin Edwards steals the ball. He drives. He hangs. He jams it. A two-hand stuff by Edwards.
It's Sixers Pistons tomorrow night. Coverage begins at 7:30. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN. You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
I lived this movie when I was with the Dallas Cowboys. T.O. was sounding the alarm about the way that the guys on the offensive side of the ball practiced. He didn't think that they came to work with the kind of intensity that they needed to have. He didn't think that they played with enough grit. And it didn't bite us until it got us. Now, everybody looked at him as a malcontent, but here's the thing. The guys in the locker room, especially guys on the defensive side of the ball, we knew he was right. I'm not advocating for A.J. Brown or saying that I love the method that he's choosing, but it doesn't mean that his actual message is wrong.
That's Chris Canty, Unsportsmanlike. It's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. It's brought to you by our friends at Whitehorse RV Center. Find fall closeout savings on 2025s and select pre-owned RV. Shop now before they're gone at Whitehorse RV. Your RV adventure starts here. So there is Canty saying he played with T.O., and it's exhausting sometimes if you're on that offense. And he's saying, guys, we're not practicing hard enough. We're not good enough. And in the end, T.O.'s right? The Cowboys come up short again. So is it the wrong message or the wrong messenger? What do we think?
I think there's definitely guys in that locker room that appreciate what AJ is saying, and they know, especially the defense, I'm sure, they appreciate that he's doing this.
So you think that there's guys that are happy that AJ's the one that's kind of saying, you be the bad guy. We know we don't want to go to Coach. We don't want to go to Petula. We don't want to be the ones that go in there and have to say something, because there are guys, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. I think Landon Dickerson probably has no problem walking in and says, Coach, you suck right now.
I mean, that's how it should be done, but, this is how AJ decided to go about it.
Or has it been done and nothing's happening?
That could be true.
Well, remember last year, guys, you just mentioned Dickerson and Lane walked into Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni and said, we got to run the ball more. Is the offensive line being like, yo, bro, we did this last year. It's your turn to talk up.
And
the O-line has been banged up, too, though. They're not the same O-line.
Yeah.
They're not performing the same way.
I think, to me, I don't have a problem with what AJ said. It's possibly, to the people, it's the messenger, right? That the messenger is constantly the one who's complaining, or social media, or this or that.
Well,
but
that's
if he's
also
saying anything that's out of line, I don't think so.
Well, that's also what Chris Canty said this morning on Unsportsmanlike, as heard here on 97.3 ESPN.
The reality is that as a player, there are certain things that you just have to keep in-house. And what A.J. Brown is doing by blasting it, whether it's on Twitch or whether it's in front of his locker talking to the media, I just don't know how that's the way to get it done. Not from a player standpoint. And we've seen coaches across this league and coaches from yesteryear use the media as a tool to message to the players in the locker room. Very seldom does it work when it's your actual teammate doing the messaging through the media with something that he's trying to bring to your front door.
Well, he did it last year and it worked, didn't it? What's wrong with the offense? Passing. That was the famous answer. That got, and listen, if you go out and have a big week offensively, that doesn't absolve you of, hey, they figured this out, they're fixed. You got to show consistency. Why do we think the Eagles' defense is good? Anybody? Bueller?
Offensive line was the reason in the past, and now I'm not.
No. Why do we think this defense is good?
Oh, the defense.
Right. Because they have displayed consistency, like week to week, that they can play at a high level. Not just 1 week. In 2023, they had a really good game against the Dolphins. You remember that night against the Dolphins?
Yeah, the one game with the Kelly Greens.
Right. But that was only one game. So it was like, the defense was great that night. Maybe they're coming around. They stunk. They played one good game, by the way, against a really good offense. That Dolphin offense that year was really, really good. And the Eagles were the first one to kind of shut them down. But there was no consistency to believe that defense could become a good defense. This defense, you believe in them. Why? Because every week they've pretty much played pretty well. Right? Have they had a game where you're like, that defense didn't have a great game? I mean,
the
Tampa game.
The Giants game.
The Giant game at the Giants. That's a good one. I was going to say, the Tampa game, they gave up 25 points. They gave up 26 points to the Rams. And then the Giant game, they got Rochambeau. And the second half of the Denver game, they weren't great. But for the most part, the Eagle defense has shown consistency where you can believe in them. The Eagles' offense has not shown enough consistency for you to believe in them. And that's something I think AJ is certainly aware of. Let me just read this text message real quick. Mike, Detroit wants to prove something after their season end last year with all the injuries. The D has their work cut out for them. All the time on the field, making up for the offense is just a recipe for injuries. Obviously need to do more offensively. I'm not sure why they take so long to snap the ball on those plays. Even got a delay of the game on Monday. AJ is correct. And, of course, he's frustrated. He's a high-level athlete that wants to make a difference. Yeah, I think Detroit, this is a very interesting matchup at a very interesting time. Week 11, they come in. They've been waiting for this game all season long. And I am very intrigued to see what Eagle offense comes out. I'm very intrigued to see what Eagle defense comes out. Coming off a game where they gave up 7 points on the road, that was an awesome effort by them. Can they keep it up against this Detroit team? That's why this game should be a lot of fun. We'll have it for you right here on 97.3 ESPN. I am Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Coming up at 5 o'clock, the matchups that Casey Joyner's watching in the Eagles and Lions game. It is one thought every game. Plus, our Sixers insider Michael Kaskey-Blomain from the Trust the Mikes podcast is going to join me at 5:30 on the latest on the Sixers. There is some Sixers news. We'll have that at 5:30. But first, I need caller 7 for this year's 99 Bottles Party. You want to win a pair of tickets? Be caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. We got tickets to see some great games. Eagles, club box seats, 50-yard line for Eagles Commanders. We got multiple Sixer games, multiple Flyers games, Phillies prize packs, plus concert tickets, OAR. One of my favorite bands, PG. I've seen him play 3 times. Jack Johnson at the Man.
That's my guy. That's my guy right there.
Jack Johnson guy?
Oh, yeah.
Journey playing at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. Aaron Lewis from Stained. I have seen Stained perform. Very good. You want to see comedian Bert Kreischer. You want to go see the Harlem Globetrotters with the family. We've got all those tickets and more. Caller 7 right now. Good luck. It's that time of the week. It's One Thought Every Game. Casey Joyner's with us here in the 5 o'clock drive home. Yes, we're live at Chickies and Pete's. Don't forget Chickies for the games this weekend. What a great lineup. Saturday games, Sunday games. Got football all the way up to Sunday Night Football for the Eagles all day here. We got you. Casey Joyner's brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings and experience luxury today. BMW of Atlantic City in Egg Harbor Township. Yes, we're going to look at what might be the game of the year so far. I don't know, game of the week, game of the year. Philadelphia and the Lions. We'll get into that one and one thought on every game, which, by the way, starts tonight with a Thursday night game between a Jets team that's won 2 in a row and a Patriots team that has won 7 straight. We'll talk about that one as well. But let's bring in my friend, Casey Joyner from The Athletic, right now on the Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN as he joins me here each and every Thursday for One Thought Every Game. Casey, what's up, man?
Looking forward to what should be an interesting game tonight, even though it looks terrible on paper. I'm looking at some of them stats and metrics. This should be a good game tonight.
It should be. At least the Jets have been playing a little bit better recently. We'll get into that. Let's look at some of the things, of course, in this Philadelphia and the Lions game. First off, this might be the most important game of the year up to this point. This Lions team, very well documented that they thought that they should have won the game, or if they would have played the Eagles last year and they were healthy, they wanted to play the Eagles in the opener this year. When you look at these two teams right now, just flat out, whose roster do you like better? The Detroit roster or the Philadelphia roster?
Oh, that is a tough question. I'm going to say the Philadelphia roster because I still think their defensive talent is better. The Lions are kind of banged up, and even when they're at their full, I don't think they probably match the Eagles, but as banged up as they are, I'll say that's where they are. If they're both healthy teams, I'll probably slightly take the Lions. Because of where the Lions have been health-wise, I'll take the Eagles, but by a slight amount.
All right, so you like the Philly roster a little bit here. Let's talk about the Philly defense because that's their stronger side of the ball right now. So let's look at them first. When you look at the Philly secondary, how does it match up in your mind with Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and that offense?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, because Jamo's been doing fantastic. I wrote about him in my article this week for The Athletic and showed that this big part of why he did so well production-wise last week was because of short passes, not because of vertical passes. It's what you'd think he'd be. Look, Detroit's got as far as it goes. I mean, if you're looking at their offense and such, it's a great matchup for them. But I'm looking at the Eagles and going, Quinyon Mitchell 5.9 yards per attempt and yards per target over the past 4 weeks. Dory Jackson at 5.4. You've got some players who are playing exceptionally well. You've got an Eagles secondary that's shutting down tight ends, the 6th fewest tight end points per game over the last 4 weeks. The Eagles defense is playing better on vertical passes. They struggled on them last year. They're 13th, but they've only had 16 out of 36 completions, 9.6 yards per attempt for vertical passes. I'm going, I like where the Eagles are, and yeah, it's tough matchups, but they've got the players. If they decided they wanted to go man coverage, I think it could hold up pretty well.
Let's look at the Eagles' pass rush, which obviously last week got Jalen Phillips. How did he fit in, and how should they factor this week?
The Eagles' pass rush was, I do my weekly updates for my start-sit charts, and it was surprising to see how the Eagles have improved. I got 10 sacks in the last 3 games, but for the last 3 games, the Eagles have 53 pass rush pressures, and they got a 44.9% pass pressure rate. 44.9 is one of the highest in the league. I think it's 4th highest in the league, and they've only blitzed 11.9% of the time. Get a guy like Phillips who could just rush without having to blitz. I mean, because that's the thing. If you get Fangio, if you say, look, Fangio, you've got pass rush. You don't have to worry about blitzing. You just don't barely do it at all. And we're going to go ahead and just, you can do all the things you want in coverage. Oh, that's his specialty. That's where he goes from being a really good defensive coordinator to being an elite defensive coordinator. And right now, that's what the Eagles are giving them. So the Lions, it's going to be tough because the Lions are a good pass blocking team, but they're not a great pass blocking team. They're 17th in sack rate over the last 3 weeks. So I think they can get some pressure and get some coverage going.
I like their 2 running backs, though. Should they? What do you think about that matchup of their offensive line against the Eagle front?
The Eagle front, again, when they can just rush forward and they can sit back in coverage, Fangio will do a lot of things where he's trying to stay in coverage and yet he could bring his safeties down to support, where rather than dedicating his safeties to the box, you could rotate them back and forth. You could do different things of that nature. He likes to do those sorts of things. And the Eagles over the past 3 games, they've been really good at that. They're allowing the 8th lowest points per game in fantasy on planned rushing plays over the past 3 games. That's really good, and they're only allowing 3.3 yards per rush on planned rushing plays. So they do a lot of things at their front where they also say, hey, look, we can sit back at coverage, we can still find ways to attack your front. Fangio's really creative at that. So if I'm the Lions, they're going to get really creative with their rushing too, because I don't think they can just sit there and punch it.
Let's go to the Eagle offense, which, if you haven't noticed, has struggled recently. And A.J. Brown said it the other night, look, we're not good enough right now. What do you see about the Eagle offense that has been a struggle?
We talked on Monday where they've got the vertical passing has been a problem, because the vertical passing has not been, when you throw one vertical pass to A.J. Brown, that's an issue. Like, you should be forcing plays in there. Again, even if he's double covered, they're fine to do things to throw underneath the double coverage, or hit hole shots between the safety and the corner. There are things you can do to do that, and they need to do that. And I think we've talked about many times throughout the year. I think the Eagles' biggest problem is that the biggest benefit is the biggest problem. They want to get after defenses, and they don't want to avoid turnovers, but they want to. You got to get big plays. So how do you get big plays without getting turnovers? They've been doing it at times this year, but not often enough. And I think that they're in a situation where, hey, you guys are doing enough things well. Otherwise, you just need to go ahead and attack defense. And if you get a risk an interception or so, you've got to go ahead and do it, because I just don't think that they're going to get the big plays in their offense unless they start taking more chances, which they don't want to do, but I think they're going to have to do.
Casey Joyner, one thought every game, Eagle passing game has been pedestrian, right? Can they get it going this week against an iffy secondary from the Lions?
Yeah, and iffy secondary from the Lions, they've got a big part of their problem has been health. They've just been so banged up all year long, but they've got good people. Amik Robertson, here's the funny thing. Amik Robertson is their most targeted corner over the past 4 games, 22 targets, the last 15 completions. He only allows 5.7 yards per target, but he's allowed a couple of touchdowns, 113.1 rating. So it's like the Lions say, he's just going to sit back and let you throw underneath. And if he's going to do that, that's fine. If they want Robertson to sit back and do that, whatever, fine, whoever he covers. If he covers A.J. Brown, fine, throw A.J. Brown hitch routes. Find 5-yard passes, let him break up a play. You just don't have to go deep on him and things. And I think a lot of the Lions players are like that, where they're going to sit back in coverage and not going to let the big play happen. So it's one of the things where the Eagles do want to pass. Fine, be really patient with it. Do like you do with your running game. Be really patient with it, because sometimes if the Eagles go their passing game and it doesn't work as well as they want, just go, well, let's just run the ball. Because if you're going to go that type of thing, you might as well just go ground and pound instead of going vertical. So if the Lions want to sit back and play shell coverage, just keep dinking and dunking. Be like Tom Brady, just hit all those passes.
So let me ask you then, when you watch the Eagles and you see A.J. Brown, do you also wonder, how do they not get this guy the ball more?
I do. But it also it does boil down to where I get some of the offense that revolves around, as a defense you can only double cover so many people. There's only so many players you can double cover in a particular play, and usually Brown's going to be the guy who you sit out on the side as the X, meaning he's going to be the guy. If you're in a 3-by-1, he's going to be the one. He's going to be in the single coverage. Even if you go 2-by-2, he's going to be the guy who's going to go say vertical and things a lot of times. He's going to be the guy you're going to take care of. You're going to say, we're going to go ahead and cap his route. We're going to, whatever he does, we're going to make sure he can't go deep, and you're going to have to do other routes underneath it. And I think the Eagles have things that they want to do to A.J. Brown, and defenses take it away. And the Eagles say, if you're going to take that away, we've got a plan B, but that plan B is throwing elsewhere, doing other things. If you rotate your coverage that way, fine, we'll throw single coverage. They don't have a plan B for, hey, we've put somebody over the top in A.J. Brown. How do we keep getting A.J. Brown the ball? They need to do that. And I think that's what Brown's frustrated by too, is that, hey, you've got things to, great on being a decoy. I don't want to just be a decoy. If I'm decoying a defense, find a way for me to beat that coverage, because I want to make sure I stay in this game plan. And the Eagles got to figure that out.
They sure do. And you'll see it on Sunday Night Football. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. We're going to get Casey's biggest matchup that he's looking for. There's a lot in this match. This is a good matchup, Eagles and Lions. We'll get his take on that game and his pick coming up in just a minute. But first, let's go through this week's edition of One Thought Every Game, and it starts tonight, 8:15 on 97.3 ESPN. It is the Jets and the Patriots. Patriots a double-digit favorite, 12.5, over under 43. Both teams have on a little win streak here, 7 straight for the Patriots, 2 in a row for the Jets, who traded away their whole defense.
Yeah, traded a whole defense, but I'm telling you, look at the numbers, and you want to take that into account and things. I understand why the Patriots are a big favorite, but the Jets are equal to the Patriots in many categories. They're notably better in special teams. They are the better special teams group. Remember, New York has a 2-game win streak. They lost to Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Denver by a combined 6 points. So this team is not that far away from being a better team. I'm writing about this in my article, my picks article at The Athletic, by the way. And so I've got the Patriots pick the win tonight, but I don't think that point spread. I think that New York's going to cover that point spread because I think this game will be closer than many expect.
All right, let's go to the Berlin game. There's another 9:30 in the morning Sunday game. I like that. Commanders and Dolphins, two teams really struggling through this season right now. Dolphins are actually the favorite in the game. That's how bad things have gotten for Washington. You're a dog against the Dolphins.
It does say something. Washington has some bad defense. They're terrible. They've got some of the worst rush defense metrics of the past month. Their pass coverage numbers aren't that much better. And the Dolphins have solid metrics. They're not a good team at all, but they're not as bad as some people have them think. I mean, they've had some bad games, but overall, if you look at numbers, like, okay, this team's playing better. So I like them to win. I'm just not really confident about it because it's in Madrid, and anytime there's an overseas game like that, you just don't know how that is going to impact teams. So that's a big variable, but I got Dolphins winning this one.
All right, likes the Dolphins in that one. That would send the Commanders to 3-8. They went to the NFC Championship game last year. Panthers and Falcons. Panthers need this game if they want to stay in that wild card chase. Tough to believe in them. They go to Green Bay and win. They lose to the Saints. Now they got the Falcons, who are up and down and all around. Falcons are favored by 3.5 here.
And Carolina seems like a tough team to get a read on, and yet when you look, it's like the problem is they're very consistent in one category. They don't score points. They scored 45 points over the past 4 weeks, and they posted a single-digit point total in 2 of those games. They're just a really dismal offense. The Falcons, they got 48 points over the past 2 weeks against good defenses, New England and Indianapolis. I think the Falcons could put up enough points to outscore a subpar Carolina offense, so I'll take Atlanta.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to a good game. Bucks and Bills here. Bills, man, they lose to the Dolphins last week. Bucks lose to the Patriots. So these two teams coming off loss, but Buffalo 5.5-point favorite in this one.
The Bills looked terrible last week. I keep coming back to when Brady and Belichick, those Patriots teams that go to South Florida and then they lay an egg, and that's the same thing. South Florida is just I don't like going to South Florida. I'm a Floridian. I hate going to South Florida. It's a very different environment down there. Very noisy, very anti-environment. So getting back to Buffalo is exactly what they need. The Bills have a huge stat edge in rush offense. They got better pass coverage metrics. I like Tampa Bay's ability to play on the road, but I'll still take Buffalo to win.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to Texans and Titans. Texans come from behind last week with Davis Mills. Titans might be the worst team in the league. Texans a road touchdown favorite here.
Yeah, Tennessee is. I kept looking. In fact, if you go to ESPN.com and look at the fantasy projections for this week, there isn't a single Tennessee player in a PPR environment that's projected to score 10 points. Not even one. Not even the quarterback. He's like at 9.9 points. That's how terrible they are. They're abysmal running the ball. They can't stop the run. I give Houston credit. They're inconsistent, but they can stop the run. They can run the ball. They can generate takeaways. And even with Stroud out, hey, Davis Mills, he did okay last week. He'll do okay this week too, taking Houston.
One thought every game, Bears and Vikings. These are the two teams that seem to be afterthoughts, but the Vikings, 14 wins last year. They're at the bottom of the pack, but the Bears no longer an afterthought. They've got 6 wins, 6-3. They're on the road, though, as an underdog against Minnesota.
Yeah, this is a very tough one, a very evenly matched game because I do these categories for each team and I rank them in there, and boy, this was almost dead even game. It wouldn't seem like it, but when you look at the metrics, like wow, this is very, very close. Ben Johnson's offense is doing good. Chicago gets offensive advantages, but Minnesota has a slight defensive edge and the huge special teams advantages. When all those cancel themselves out like that, I got to take the home team to win, so I'm taking the Vikings.
Likes the Vikings over the Bears, which would knock the Bears to 6-4. They're in the middle of that wild card mix right now. Let's go to another team in the wild card mix, the Packers. They are the 7th seed current in the NFC. They go to the Giants, who've had all sorts of problems, so much so they fired their coach. The Packers go on the road with back-to-back losses, and they're a 7.5-point favorite here.
after falling apart again last week, they kind of had no choice. I mean, Dable should get another chance to be. If someone wants to hire him as an offensive coordinator, he's going to be really, really good to be worth every penny because he's that innovative and creative. So, I like what they're doing there. But if Dart's not there, who knows if he's going to be there or not. But the Packers, even if Dart is able to play, the Packers have advantages in nearly every category. They're facing a New York rush defense that has allowed nearly 750 rushing yards over the past 4 games. I think Jacobs is going to have a big game. I think the Packers have a big game.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go to AFC North, Bengals and Steelers. Bengals are still kind of in the mix here, especially if they can beat the Steelers, who are a 5.5-point favorite in the game.
And they get Joe back maybe in 2 weeks. Maybe okay. We've got 6 games there. I was running their schedule because my son's a Burrow fan, looking. All right, if they can get a win here and they can get him back and they can be competitive, wow, because the late season schedule is favorable. The Bengals still got a shot at a wild card if things go well. But the Bengals defense, it's hard to overstate how terrible their defense has been. I mean, they're just atrociously bad at covering tight ends. They're worse than the league at stopping planned rush plays, and they always go into scoreboard shootout mode. Pittsburgh has the ability to keep up in scoreboard shootout mode, and they've got a better defense than most. They're not a great defense by any stretch, but they've got a solid defense. So I think, and by the way, when Cincinnati beat them a couple weeks ago, I think that Pittsburgh Tomlin, where they just played down to the competition level, they're not going to be taken by surprise this time. They won't Tomlin. Pittsburgh wins.
All right, Chargers and Jags. One thought every game. Both teams kind of need this one. Jags, that's a bad loss last week. You're winning by 19 in the fourth. You fall apart. Now you get a home game here, but the Chargers, when they have injury problems at the offensive line, they've been an issue for them. They're favored by 2.5 on the road.
Their defense has been one thing that's keeping them going because Jesse Minter is just, again, he's going to be a head coach soon enough. He is a fantastic defensive coordinator, sharp mind, not just really, really innovative doing, it seems like other things other people do, but he just does subtleties that makes all the difference in the world. They're giving up next to nothing on the ground or in the air. Jacksonville can't offset that, but they have an overwhelming special teams advantage. The reason I'm really iffy about this game, though, LA does not play well when they travel across the country for an early morning kickoff. It just doesn't suit them well. So that's a big factor. I'm still taking LA to win, but it's going to be close.
All right, let's get to the 4 o'clock slate here of games. It is a Seahawks-Rams game, which this one could be a really, really interesting game. One thought every game. Some people think this might be the best game of the week. It's the 2 top teams in the West, Seahawks-Rams. Rams are slight favorite, 2.5. Seahawks right now, they're the top team in the West.
Yeah, it can be the top team in the NFL right now, the way they're playing. Another a Michigan man, Mike McDonald is fantastic at calling defense, too, and their offense is playing really well. Now they've added Shaheed to get a vertical threat. The Rams are every bit as good, though. The Rams, I've looked at their defensive metrics. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is a superb team. They're playing as well as their offense is playing, and they're leading the league in offensive points per game in the last 4 weeks. Their defense is every bit as good. So the thing is that both teams are good at creating takeaways. The Rams' offense is better at avoiding giveaways. They don't, Stafford's better at protecting the ball than Darnold is. Combine that with the game being in LA, I'll take the Rams.
One thought every game. The other teams in the West play each other, the Niners and the Cardinals. Cardinals fell apart last week. So too did the Niners. All those 4 o'clock games were 40-20 lopsided type of blowouts. Niners on the road, 2.5-point favorites.
Cardinals, that game last week when Seattle got that 35-0 lead, that wasn't a fluke. That was easily the most lopsided game on the board, and this game looks a lot the same way. The Cardinals are just a really bad team. They're not the worst team. That's still Tennessee. The Cardinals are a step above them, but only a step, and they're regressing badly under Gannon. San Francisco has plenty of issues, but they grade out almost across the board better than the Cardinals. And again, it's in Arizona, so that's a slight, I'll ding it back a bit, but still, as I note in my article at the Athletic, this is my most confident pick of the week. I'm taking the Niners to win.
Okay, one thought every game. Let's go to the Ravens and the Browns. Ravens are back in this thing now. They're in the play for the division. They're in play for that AFC North, and they play the worst team maybe in all of football, the Browns. They're on the road, an 8.5-point favorite on the road in the division.
Yeah, and the Browns are bad. They can do a couple of things though. I mean, they can stop the run and mind you, Dylan Gabriel. Look, he's not a great quarterback. He's not even a very good quarterback, but he's given them it's a low floor, but he set the floor. Like there are certain quarterbacks where the floor it collapses completely. He at least sets the floor to, hey, we're going to be at this level. That's good, but you're going up against Baltimore. Mind you, Baltimore's had their win streak, but they're winning despite the fact that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry aren't playing great. They're playing very good, but not great. I think they could take a step up to great this week, take a Baltimore big.
All right, this game here, Chiefs and Broncos, 425, 97.3 ESPN. The game will be on 97.3 ESPN and Rock 104.1. We'll have it on both channels at 7 o'clock when the Eagles coverage comes on. You can flip over to Rock 104.1 for the end of it. If the Broncos can knock the Chiefs here off, they have a shot to win the West, something that hasn't happened in eons for anybody. They also have a shot to knock the Chiefs out of the wild card mix. They're not in the playoff field right now, yet they are the favorite to win the Super Bowl, believe it or not. But a loss here would be detrimental.
I don't understand why people are so...
And the Chiefs are a road dog favorite here at 3.5.
I cannot understand how they were 4 earlier this week. I cannot understand this because I understand in the sense the Chiefs have dominated this series. I mean, they're just absolutely dominated this series. But these teams have split the last 2 meaningful games. So it's not like, this is like a 15-game win streak. They split the last meaningful games, and they had another game, the Broncos, one that wasn't meaningful. The Chiefs weren't playing the starters. But Denver matches Kansas City in nearly every offensive category. The Broncos have a better pass rush. They're 5-0 at home this year. I mean, the Chiefs defense is playing good. It's not playing great. It's playing good. Maybe very good. B, maybe B+, but they're not playing fantastic. And it's like, wow, you got all this and looking at it going, why are the Chiefs favored to win? The Chiefs are favored to win because everybody's expecting them to be favored to win. If the Broncos win, they get a 4.5 game de facto lead over Kansas City in the division. That's going to make Kansas City really motivated, really desperate to win. Doesn't matter to me. I think the Broncos will overcome that desperation and they take this one.
All right, one thought every game. Let's go back to the Eagles and the Lions, where it all started at the beginning of this conversation, and get your ultimate thought on this one. We've been talking a lot about this week, Casey. 2 years ago, the Eagles were 10-1. Week 12, they played the Niners, and they got blasted. And their true colors came out after that. Their defense was a disaster, and everything started to fall apart. The Lions come in here, and they feel like they should have been in that Super Bowl last year. Is this their 49er moment where they can go on national TV and prove to everyone, or are the Eagles for real this time?
It could be, but I think that the 49ers, there was a certain thing to them with, hey, we lost our quarterback. I think that's the case. Look, the Lions, when they lose their games, they can't, the 49ers can say, well, geez, we lost our quarterback. That's why we lost that game. Maybe. The Lions was like, you guys are losing playoff games because you just didn't play well enough or you were too banged up with other things. So I don't know if it's the same motivation there. I like Detroit's offense getting into high gear, but when they get into high gear, they get into shootout games. And that's not a good thing for them because it's always a 50-50 prop. Philly's defense played fantastic last week. I don't think the Lions will be able to get back into quite that kind of high gear. I think if this game was on a neutral field, they'd pick on the Eagles are a slight favorite because they're at home. I'll take them because they're at home. And because, frankly, if you got a game like this where I've got two teams playing well, I'm just going to take the team that has the better defense, especially if they're at home. I'll take the Eagles. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I'm picking Philly to win.
Yeah, the Eagles' defense is definitely different from that team a couple of years ago that fell apart. But their offense, can they hold up their end of the bargain? Like, if the Eagle defense gives up 17, can the Philly offense score 21 against Detroit? You would hope they could, but, man, last week was a struggle, and it's been a struggle for them. I mean, it's been a struggle watching this offense from week to week.
Green Bay's defense earlier this year was probably considered the best in the league. They were playing that well. So part of it is that Green Bay's play still has a very good defense. And again, it was weather conditions, etc., a number of different things. But Green Bay defense played great. The Lions defense has been, again, they've had some times where they're playing well, but they play a lot of shell. You just had to be very patient when being like the Eagles were very patient in that early drive where Hurts fumbled the ball. Kind of what they need to do. Look, we're going to be patient. We're going to take these 4 and 5 yard games. We're just going to right downfield. We're not going to get overly aggressive. We're just going to do this and make the Lions get up there. Because if the Lions get up there and say we're going to play man instead of shell, they don't have the personnel to keep up with the Eagles. Then the Eagles could just tear it apart.
The Lions and the Eagles, they rank first or second in the NFL in wins since the start of the 2023 season. They have not played each other since 2022. They don't play each other often. You're about to see it on Sunday Night Football. Casey Joyner, everybody. One thought every game. He's back on Tuesday. We'll recap that game and all the Week 11 action for you here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike.
And don't forget, check him out at The Athletic and all his coverage of Thursday Night Football tonight for the Jets and the Patriots. And he, of course, is brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City, where your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Experience exceptional savings and experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City. When we come back, news on Jared McCain, news on Paul George, news on Joel Embiid, and the Sixers, who have a big win over the Celtics. But can they follow it up by beating the 9-2 Pistons? They played them last week tough, but now the rematch tomorrow night, a game you'll hear on 97.3 ESPN. We'll bring in our Sixers insider from the Trust the Mikes podcast. Michael Kasky-Blomain joins me next.
Scott Graham here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. AFC East action kicks off Week 11 in Foxborough when the 8-2 Patriots host the New York Jets. New England leads the division thanks to 7 straight wins. Now they take on a Jets team coming off back-to-back wins of their own. Tom McCarthy and Devin McCourty will call the action of the Jets at the Pats on Thursday Night Football.
Listen to Thursday Night Football. Coverage begins at 7:30 on 97.3 ESPN. We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
Come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, Sixers and Pistons tomorrow night. You can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN. You're home for Sixers basketball. Hey, you want to watch Jared McCain tonight? He's going to be with the Blue Coats. They're on ESPN Plus. He'll play with the Blue Coats on Thursday night tonight, and on Saturday night, that game's on the Roku channel. I'm actually calling that game with D. Lynam, the Sixers and the Blue Coats. You'll see McCain tonight and on Saturday. What about the other Sixers? Let's get Michael Caskey, Trust the Mics podcast at 97.3ESPN.com. You can check out all of his coverage of the Sixers over there. And MKB, what's going on, my man?
What's up, Mike? How you doing?
All is good. I don't hear him, so if you can turn on his audio. Is your audio good, Mike? Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, I got you. All right. So real quick on McCain, he's going down to the Blue Coats. He's going to play the G League tonight and on Saturday. I would imagine. I think this is a pretty good move for them, though, just to get him some run, allow him to kind of get some comfortable, shots, some looks, and just fire some shots up without really having to worry about stuff.
Yeah, 100%, Mike. It's a good move to get him some game reps, some game action, help him to get his stamina back up. It's harder to do that at the NBA level on a team like the Sixers, kind of integrate a guy back into the flow when he's been on the sideline for almost a year with a couple injuries. So I think it's definitely a good move. Let him get his legs under him, get the shot feeling a little bit better, get some extra action down there that he wouldn't be able to get with the Sixers right now.
Yeah, so far he has not been a big factor. They haven't needed him so much. Interested to see once he kind of gets, obviously they don't trust him in terms of where he is health-wise. Let's go to Paul George and get your take on that. He is not going to play tomorrow night again. The doctor did see him. What happened there?
Yeah, Mike, I'm a little surprised at this point that he's still not, close to an imminent return. I did think at this point in the season, based off what we heard in preseason and media day, that he'd be back by now. All indications from the team, they provided an update after that game on Tuesday night to the media members. Basically said that he met with the doctors and everything looked good. They just wanted to do a little bit more strengthening in the surrounding area and the surrounding muscles before they gave him the all clear to return to game action. No setbacks or anything like that. So, I mean, the return should be on the horizon, but they still have not been able to, pin down an exact return date.
So we don't know when he might play. They do play the Clippers, one of his former teams, on Monday night. So possibly we'll see him there. Who knows? There's been no timetable on Paul George. Let's get to Embiid now. That was ominous the other night. He did not play with right knee soreness. That's the opposite knee from the one that has been the problem for him. They're listing him as day-to-day. They did not rule him out from the game tomorrow night. But is there some concern there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there has to be a level of concern, Mike. Anytime you're talking about knees and Joel Embiid in the same sentence at this point in his career, concern is definitely a part of it. I think it's probably a good thing that it's not in the knee that he just had the surgery in. It was in the other knee, actually, which is probably the result of, maybe a little bit of overcompensation, leaning a little bit more harder on that leg because you're trusting it a little bit more. There was no structural damage. They had told us after that game on Tuesday, like you said, it's a day-to-day situation. It's pretty much just going to be about how he responds, make sure there's no additional swelling or anything like that. But it doesn't sound like anything that's a long-term concern, at least for the time being.
Yeah, that's how these things seem to start with them, right, though? It's day-to-day, then he misses a game. We'll see if he plays tomorrow night. Dominic Barlow will be back in the game, and people might forget about Barlow, but what you like about Barlow, what's he add to this team?
Athleticism around the rim, Mike, just a skill set that they could use, especially if, Joel's not going to play in that game tomorrow night. Added depth at the big man spot. He's obviously shooting isn't one of his strengths, but in those early games, I was impressed with the rebounding, the finishing around the rim, some of the defense and the rim protection that we saw. So, between him, obviously Andre Drummond, the other guys that they have, Bona, I think they have some good depth going there, and he just adds to it.
Right. By the way, it appears that Joel will not play in the game tomorrow night. I think that just came out as we're having this conversation here. Yes, 1 minute ago, Derek Bodner tweeted that Joel Embiid is out for tomorrow's game, and VJ Edgecombe is questionable with back spasms. So there you go. No Joel Embiid in the game tomorrow night. Now that we know that he is out for the game, does that add any more heightened concern?
Not yet, Mike. If I had to bet, like if you had just asked me 2 minutes ago, do I think he was going to play, I probably would have said no. They always err on the side of caution. If there's a little bit of soreness lingering there, they're gonna sit him. That's just, especially at this point. I think they feel comfortable that they have firepower and a good enough team right now that they can at least stay competitive in some of these games without him.
Yeah.
It's obviously a bummer, and if it's something that stretches from 1 game to 2 games to all of a sudden it's been five games and he's still out, then you really start to ask some questions.
Michael Caskey-Blomain, check out the Trust the Mics podcast. It goes live on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. You can get it on all podcasting platforms, Talking Sixers. I want to get your thoughts on the late game Maxey possessions and what's going on there. He's obviously had a great year. He's been awesome. But the late game Maxey possessions.
Too much hero ball, Mike. I think it's a combination of wearing down a little bit over the course of the game. He's carrying such a big load for this Sixers team, especially with Joel out in terms of scoring. He's having to do a whole lot, playing a whole lot of minutes. I think at the end of games, there's probably a little bit of fatigue there. 2, it's just one of my only lingering complaints about Tyrese's game is that sometimes he does get tunnel vision or hero ball, type vibe going where he just wants to go one-on-one, looking at the basket, trying to finish. And part of it to me, too, that sticks out, it's Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse needs to do a better job with the Sixers' crunch time offense of setting up plays and making it so it doesn't look like it's just Tyrese Maxey going one-on-one every single possession with everyone kind of standing around waiting and watching him and hoping that he can make something happen. So McCain and the eventually getting back should help ease Maxey's workload. But I think Nurse obviously needs to do a little bit better job there, and I think Maxey needs to, kick out in certain situations and not try to just play hero ball at all times.
He did look like Iverson, where he's just dribbling up, under, trying to back his way, trying to get back out. I mean, he looked like he's just trying to find a little separation and then an off-balance fadeaway shot. It's almost like Iverson used to do, where he just had nobody else. That's what Maxey looks like sometimes in these late-game situations, because he has taken some questionable shot selections late in these close games.
And part of it, I think, too, is he carries so much of that offensive load in the first 3 quarters. And that's, those shots might be dropping for him earlier in the game. The defense is probably a little bit looser, and he's able to pull these things off. But then when you get into those closing minutes, the defense is locked down. He's trying these, the same things that might have worked for him earlier. Defense is playing a little bit tougher, and it's just, the angles and the lanes aren't quite there. Then that's when he can look to his teammates, and that's when Nick Nurse can look to get some of the other guys involved more in the offense too.
All right, MKB, let's talk a little bit about the other guy that had the big game the other night was Justin Edwards. And, people might not be too all that familiar. Who is this guy? What can I expect from him? How do you see Edwards? Is he a guy that should get more minutes, should have a bigger role?
It's tough to say he should because it's been inconsistent what we've seen from him, Mike. He's a guy that kind of really exploded onto the scene toward the second half of last season when the Sixers were tore up with the injury issues, and he got some added on-court opportunity and really took advantage of it. It looked kind of like a 3-and-D wing, decent perimeter defense, and obviously, as we saw in that Celtics game on Tuesday, a guy that can come in and knock down some shots. Nick Nurse raved about him after that game, said he puts in all the work, really likes what he brings to the floor, and he's like the prototypical guy you want in today's NBA, like around your key players where you don't need to run plays for him. He's not like a central part of the offense, but he's a threat to space the floor. He keeps defenders honest. And if he can shoot anywhere close to like he did in that Celtics game, I mean, he saved that game for them in the second half, in the third quarter when they were really struggling. So if he can keep contributing like that, I mean, Nick Nurse will have no choice but to continue to, give him minutes in the rotation.
Oh, and the big thing is, it's interesting. I was calling the Blue Coats game on Saturday, and I was talking to D. Lynham about this. Barlow's a two-way guy. She's like, I don't expect to ever see him down here. Jabari Walker is also a two-way guy who I don't really expect to see him. But you're wondering, where are these minutes going to come for Justin Edwards, Barlow, Jabari Walker, Watford, Paul George? you got a bunch of guys who are going to be fighting for minutes there, and you're wondering where are all these minutes going to end up coming from. That's a good problem to have sometimes if they're all producing. But if you have so many guys producing, now you're trying to find minutes for all these guys. That's going to be a little bit of an interesting conundrum for them.
It's definitely not something that the Sixers have had in past years, Mike. So to your point,
True.
It is probably a good problem to have, especially in the front court. When you're talking about Joel, I think they're well set in the backcourt. McCain obviously will help, but the rotation with Maxey, Grimes, Edgecombe, and Oubre, that four-man group has been really productive, obviously, this season. McCain will help there. But, yeah, I mean, they have a lot of depth in that front court, which I think will be a positive, obviously.
Michael Caskey-Blomain from the Trust the Mics podcast. Make sure you check out the podcast on all podcasting platforms, and it goes live on YouTube and X on Tuesdays at 11. We were talking about on the pod on Tuesday, I like a lineup. I'd like to see a lineup anyway. Maxey, Oubre, Watford, Paul George, and Embiid when they're all healthy and playing. Kind of the opposite of this smaller guard lineup that they've been going with the three guards, and go with maybe three bigger wings.
Yeah, and they have the versatility to do that, Mike. They have the size to do it. Obviously, maybe you'd worry about scoring a little bit there, but if you have Joel in the lineup to balance it out in the front court, I think that's something that they could, certainly look into doing. And it's nice that they have the option to, if they want to go small, they could run a four guard and one big lineup. Or like what you're saying, if they want to go a lot bigger, you throw some bulk in there with a Watford and an Embiid and another forward. It'll help with rebounding and help clog the paint.
I don't know, man. I mean, Oubre can score. Maxey can obviously score. You hope Paul George can score. And Embiid, I mean, so I don't know that they would struggle to score with that lineup. And I think they would be one area where they're getting beat is these rebounds. They just don't rebound well enough. That lineup should give them a better opportunity to get some one-and-dones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm more meant for, like, I'd be worried about the spacing a little bit more opposed to the scoring. But, yeah, absolutely. It would certainly help in that regard. And that's something we saw killing the Sixers even in that Celtics game where the Celtics were just attacking the offensive glass and the Sixers were having, a tough time putting bodies on the rebounders and ending possession. So that would, certainly help in that regard for sure.
That's a game they lose without Joel in the past, Boston. I mean, Boston's not great, but it's a team that they're going to make you beat them. They're going to fight. For them to win that game without Joel, and I've been pretty steady, like, if you don't have Joel for most of the season, you're going to struggle to win a lot of these games. But we were talking about on the pod, they've been beating a lot of teams. Now, Boston's not great, but the fact that they won that game the other night, does that say that maybe they can win more consistently without Joel?
I think so, Mike. The quality of opponent hasn't really been there for the Sixers, but they've been involved, I think, in more clutch games so far than any team in the NBA, meaning games that come down to a couple scores in the final minutes of the game. And in the past, to your point, games like that, they always struggled to close out without Joel. And now we're seeing guys, obviously Maxey has stepped up tremendously. Oubre had that huge putback in that Celtics game, stepped up in the big clutch there. Justin Edwards with the shooting. We're seeing other guys step up. And in the past, like you said, if Joel wasn't out there, they probably weren't closing these games out. So even if they haven't played or won against like the top tier teams in the conference, the fact that they're kind of being able to gut these games out without Joel, to me, is definitely a positive sign.
More shot makers, man. They just have more shot makers than they've had in the past. Next five, Detroit, Clippers, Toronto, Milwaukee, Miami. Should give us a good smorgasbord of kind of where they are and what they are after this 5-game stretch tomorrow night. Jared McCain tonight for the Blue Coats. You can watch that game on ESPN+. Saturday he'll play for the Blue Coats. That game will be on the Roku channel. He's Michael Caskey-Blomain. Check out the Trust the Mics podcast and get it on all podcasting platforms. Subscribe and like. And he's back here on the Sports Bash. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mike. Good talking to you.
As always, MKB. And you can check out Trust the Mics. Tuesdays it goes live at 11 a.m. on X and on YouTube. He's always kind enough to join us here on the Sports Bash. We will give us our final thoughts and wrap up the show coming up next. Ready to get out of here tonight. Don't forget Thursday Night Football, Jets and the Patriots. You can watch the game right here. We're at Chickies and Pete's where the players go. What do we have tomorrow? It's a happy hour Friday. Who's the outside view tomorrow? Oh, we're going to Detroit. That's right. Tomorrow night we're going to Detroit. And obviously get you ready for that. It'll be Sal Pal Friday as well with Sal Pal Antonio. Coming up, don't forget, another cue to call is on the way. Stick around and listen for that sounder to go off. I want to remind you, by the way, we had a lot of qualifiers today. I have to give them a little shout-out for the people who called in. Jackie in Summers Point, Bob in EHC, Jessica in Atlantic City, and Stephen in Summers Point were our qualifiers so far today. Another chance for you to qualify coming up in just a moment. Good stuff from MKB. Check out the Trust the Mikes podcast. Flyers lose last night.
Yeah, the Flyers are going out on the road, and it's the annual Dads trip. So they're going to St. Louis tomorrow night, Dallas on Saturday night, and it's the Dads.
Why is it the Dads?
Well, all the dads come with with their sons.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know that. I never heard of that. Like they didn't do that. They do that every year.
Yeah,
didn't know that.
Yep.
Did you watch the whole Flyer game last night?
I did.
I watched most of it.
I saw the offsides play.
Yeah, I saw everybody going nuts about that. I missed the offsides.
Yep.
All
Another goal disallowed.
Yeah.
It's tough.
All right, that'll be it for us. Thanks to everybody again at Chickies and Pete's. I think next Thursday, if you want to make a plan to stop out, we're going to be at EHT, I believe, next week over there on the Black Horse Pike. Coming up next, it's the best of the Sports Bash. I am Mike Gill. Josh Henning produced the show. PG, we are gone. But first, I need caller 7-609-573-3776. 609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered for this year's 99 Bottles Party at Maynard's in Margate. We got all sorts of tickets. You're going to want to be a part of it. 609-573-3776. Caller 7 right now. You can win tickets, club box seats to see the Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, all sorts of concert tickets, and more. You must be present to win at Maynard's at Margate this Thanksgiving Eve. The party at Maynard's Cafe at Margate, 99 bottles. You got a big chance to win tickets starting at 2 and then at 6. $1 Busch Light cans, $3 T-shots, and fireballs, and $5 Sun Cruisers. It's the biggest party of the year. Good luck.